We'll save anti-mage. We'll leave anti-mage for second round.
All right, but all jokes aside, they're now discussing, lads, can we get a Beastmaster? Do you think we're going to be good against this?
Are they a Lena team? I feel like you just lean at this.
There it is. Pick the next. Go on, Winstrike.
No, Tusk is better. Or no, not Tusk. Tusk for Team Spirit.
I'm so excited over a Beastmaster game.
Do you are you scared of 4 position Rubik at all? I know, so the 2 counters we've seen to Beastmaster are mid-storm and mid-Rubik. You afraid at all about support Rubik?
Not really.
I'd much be more afraid of a roaming 4 like Tusk. That's what a lot of teams have done. You pick the storm, but he needs that extra oomph to give him the damage. It's to Beastmaster, after all, he's not actually a sniper. He plays like one, but he has 1200 health.
Okay, nice.
And Tusk. That's what I want to see. Roaming 4, Tusk clock.
Yeah.
Tusk clock.
Oh, no clock. I like the Tusk. In regards to the whole 4 position thing against Beastmaster, I feel like you don't naturally buy Ags until you've already got a couple items before, so that timing is way too late to what a Beastmaster in the mid lane does bring.
5 seconds.
But yeah, Winstrike, they're covering themselves
Lion
from the
burns
Beastmaster.
mana. We're setting it up. Nyx anti-mage. I said it.
Did you hate him that much?
That's one of the 3. Toronto, Tokyo. He's the win condition. They go for the save route instead. I can get down for this.
If you're
it's also the magic res. That's a way to deal with the axes.
Yep.
You dispel them and you magic res in the Fate's Edict.
Yeah, I think if you're Winstrike here, you are basically deciding if you're going to pick Tidehunter entering the second phase straight away, or you're going to be banning it out, simply because the 1-2 punch of Storm Tide, it counters the Beastmaster too much. Storm can jump the Tide, there's the ban. And then Tide with Kraken can purge off the axes. Yeah, I like this ban from Winstrike for sure.
You just got to go bad in LC second round.
Spirit's got the easiest bans of their life. They see a Lion, they need an offlane, it's like, gotta get rid of the big boys. Centaur, Timbersaw, big 2.
What's the third big one? Bristleback?
Maybe a Mars could also be kind of cool, but I guess Oracle kind of negates that a little bit with the whole
I don't like Mars as much because he actually wants to be played with for the entire laning phase. Timbersaw, Centaur on the other hand, they're like, okay, leave me alone. I'll get my levels, come back and impale the guy, we'll kill him. Mars on the other hand, he wants to battle. Yeah, so Spirit is actually... Oh, wow, okay, fun fact for you. Spirit is the only team in the region to actually have beaten Beastmaster. So earlier we had the stat, which was Na'Vi and Gambit were the team to have lost with it, yeah.
Yep, they lost to it, and it's because Spirit beat both of them.
With Storm Spirit?
In one game, and then Void Spirit in the other.
Okay.
10 seconds remaining.
So in that game, in the first game, Spirit had an Oracle Troll setup, and they had the Void Spirit in the mid lane, so they had the jump with the Void Spirit, and then the eventual I don't care about you with the Troll, who can just kind of just run at you. And in the other game, they did have that Storm Spirit combo, and then they had the Tide pairing in that one.
Nyx anti-mage, let's go. Nyx it up.
You're being very,
Nyx, despite the fact they already have Lion.
Okay, that's a Gyro 3. No worries, we're still on pace.
Oh my god. Brian, what's happened to you?
You've
opened up
there's somebody in Twitch chat who's on the same wavelength as me, and they just say, hey, that Storm can't do anything if he has no mana.
10 seconds remaining.
I will say this concept of drafting that you're trying to, maybe bring in as a new meta, doesn't work that well, Brian.
Hey, you don't need
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Like 9 times.
Yeah, but that's true. And then, oh wait, hold on. I know the strat that you haven't mentioned. You also have to tip the guy and chat war a little bit.
Oh, every time you mana burn him, you tip him. You impale him, you mana drain him, tip. Mana burn, tip.
Mana burn is chat.
Mage hit him, tip.
No, you can't tip too much early because you won't have it for the crucial point. So it's chat wills for the mana burn, and then deaths are for the tips.
I see.
Or if he has no mana,
when he goes down to 0 mana. You can
that's it. Yeah, once you've completed the sure.
And he has to walk back to base.
Yep, but luckily for our sanity and our analysis, these heroes aren't going to be picked. So we can probably get away from this.
Gyro's a bit weird into Oracle as well as Storm. You kind of die to the Orchid. You don't have a save yet. Maybe they're going to go for the Abaddons of the world.
I think the idea of Gyro is simply, one, it could be the 5 still. We've seen that in the previous season. Not much has changed that.
I guess I've never really seen that this season, but yeah, it could be.
But also it's the idea that if it is the carry, Beastmaster's timing is quick farm Ags, minute 12 plus, and then he's making plays. Gyro's a very aggressive carry, but maybe if there's a quick BKB, due to that quick Aegis, he's going to want to go in. He can be that frontliner
10
carry that you can
seconds
have.
remaining.
The same idea of like a lifestealer, right? He runs in first, enables backline damage.
Not
5
nearly as much of a
seconds remaining.
frontliner as Lifestealer. Gyro needs like 3 items to do that
Or an
job.
Aegis though, right?
Or an Aegis.
And this is what we're looking at. This is basically what the patch is dictating. What team can quickly go to Roshan first and get an Aegis?
Bag shard on the second Roche. Who added that? I mean, who had Valve? Can we get names?
He also added Beastmaster, and he also added, you know, Solar Crest. So there are
There's
2 or 3 things that are kind of,
There's
you know,
sick human beings.
Yeah.
In that.
but everything else is pretty good though. Let's not knock the patch. You know, there's
It's probably one guy.
Yeah, Shrug, if you're listening, I like Dota.
Yeah.
It's a cool game, and I think it's very well balanced.
yeah. Other than Beastmaster,
There's that one
Yeah.
guy though. There's the one
Yeah,
guy
yeah.
that just
The
had to
people
have
are
his part.
speaking are T-Governor and BSJ. In case you were curious.
Yeah, it was mainly T-Gov that instigated. I was just trying to belong here.
Why are you afraid? We're literally listing 3 things out of like a bajillion things in the game. That's pretty good.
Like I said, it was
odds.
probably just one guy. Give us names, Valve, and we'll make a Reddit thread about it. And it'll do nothing.
Yeah, just get some upvotes.
We will get upvotes.
Maybe some little badges or whatever they do. I don't know what
Radiant
happens from
team.
Reddit.
I've never gotten a badge. There's I called that one.
Okay, cool.
Remember that?
You have said a lot, Brian.
I actually, right when they picked Gyro, I said maybe they'll get an Abaddon. Somebody in Twitch chat clipped it. We're good.
Yeah, I tried
Yeah.
pioneering that analysis.
They clipped every single hero that you
No, yeah, no, but that
10
was my
seconds
first
remaining.
attempt at analysis, was just try and list every hero as quick as possible, so then I
5
can always reference.
seconds
I
remaining.
did say Clinks at one point.
I only predicted 1-5 after they picked Gyro.
The team spirit, you know, there's
Why Abaddon over Omni? Out of curiosity.
You're against
5,
Storm. I think
you're-
you just can't be the guy that also gets killed. They
Fair
can
enough.
silence you with the Orchid, but they can't kill you.
We also mentioned the whole frontline aspect, but now Abaddon completely takes that away from Gyro. He's the one going in. And I like the idea of Abaddon just for the tower pressure. If you want to have a saving
Roche
5,
too?
yeah, you know, the Avernus, you know, beat, slap down a tower and objective, and off you go. But for Spirit, they're a little bit greedy right now, just in the idea that they don't have natural minus armor within their
Radiant
draft.
team back.
So PA will most likely have to go for a Battle Fury, which then means Storm goes Orchid, PA goes Battle Fury. These are bigger item timings that don't align for quick aggression. It's PA needs Fury +1.
I'm a bit nervous for this Mars lane. I would have liked to see like a Razor. That's what we
10
saw
seconds
Tundra,
remaining.
I believe, do against the Gyro Abaddon lane. It did really
Dire
nicely.
team
Yeah, the
back.
quality of competition wasn't
Radiant
necessarily as
team
much in
back.
that lane, but I think if you just pick an offlaner that say, hey, screw you, Gyro, and then you can kind of like pick on the Beastmaster while that guy pressures the Gyro. I don't think Mars, I guess it almost feels like they're really gonna all in this timing of like 10 minutes prior to the
10
Beastmaster
seconds
Ags, where you
remaining.
have this team fight from the Mars, the backup from the Oracle. Storm's not gonna have an
5
Orchid yet, but he'll
seconds
be
remaining.
active enough. And then they're just gonna get a +1 for that.
Do you think this could just be like another Bloodseeker game for Winstrike, where they have this Bloodseeker
Dire
lie
team
off
back.
lane, annoy the PA, and just apply for a huff
So they think it might be an offlane Beastmaster.
Radiant
Okay.
team pick.
Interesting.
And they banned Lena. Yeah, Lena would be super annoying actually.
Okay,
Those
so
are good
first,
bans.
yeah,
Like,
first of all,
Ruby
Spirit,
Wolf.
they just need their active 4 now, right? They need someone who can connect the pieces and apply some damage. I think, is Tusk
Willow.
still available?
Actually, Willow's really bad against Abaddon. Don't pick that.
I think Tusk is. We mentioned Tusk at the
10
very start of the draft.
seconds
Just a
remaining.
hero that at least gives him some rush potential with
Tusk
tag
Mars
team.
though, huh? I think that lane would
5
suffer.
seconds remaining.
Double melee against Gyro.
Yeah, I'm trying to think more of the game at this point, because they do lack. I guess I just love the double save of Oracle Tusk.
Gyro is a carry I would like to counter in lane as well. Just because he is feast or famine. He either
Dire
shoves you out of
team
lane and you can't lane anymore, or you can actually bully him into the
Okay.
jungle. Yeah. Well, they just picked Mirana
Oh,
into an Abaddon.
Yeah. I
That's
went.
a little weird.
Yeah.
It's nice in lane, but I think that might be a little too all in. On
It's
the
a
lane.
slight mixture between what you were asking for, right? Which is you wanted range 4 because you're dealing with this lane, but you also kind of wanted something that would roam
10
into the
seconds
Beastmaster.
remaining.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Feels like they're trying to do both with this pick.
Yeah, it's just the
5
problem is that
seconds
the
remaining.
5-second arrow at any stage of the game can
Yeah.
reliably get shielded. If you, I don't know where they would go with this. Clearly, they are worried that it might be a offlane Beastmaster with that Huskar ban. How crazy is like as like a Kunkka id or something like the Kunkka offlane even just something
Yeah, I don't
beefy
mind
like
that, yeah.
that. Gives you a
With
little
the
if I catch-
reduction of X, the cooldown, it does feel a little more viable playing a side lane.
They just have like 3 super mobile cores, and I think X or something of the like would be incredibly powerful Because right now it's just Lion, and I don't think that's enough.
That's also where the kind of Bloodseeker plays in. You just rock the one guy you want to kill.
Too. Yeah, similar.
Yeah, I'm just scared for Spirit and the soft creep.
You may now
just
select
AoE route. Okay,
yeah.
The Underlord's real nice versus PA. In lane, like super early game, PA just doesn't do enough damage to you to ever get rid of you.
So it's just the mid Beastmaster. And Spirit, they are undefeated against Beastmaster. They understand how to play against it, so you gotta give them a lot of props for that. And they do have the scaling of the PA. The question is, Winstrike, they played so well as a team. If they have that grouping of Underlord playing in front, Beastmaster throwing axes, there isn't enough room on the map for PA to farm Ancients and Storm to find kills, and a little bit of disparity in the first 25 minutes on Spirit's draft, which is what Winstrike's lineup thrives in. So yeah, I think Winstrike I prefer, for sure.
Is Spirit's lineup too greedy, Brian? Because it definitely, like, third pick Gyro, they were saying, we're gonna run at you guys really fast.
Yeah, I'm a bit concerned. I think the problem with their draft is that they need to separate them, but they don't really have tower pressure on the side of Team Spirit, so that means it's going to be difficult to force like TP reactions, and then you get favorable engagements. I still think Team Spirit's the better team, but maybe I'm just underestimating Winstrike. I like their draft better this game. I think it's just easier to execute. The pacing, all their cores should have good lanes. I'd be surprised if Team Spirit wins.
Yeah, I just Beastmaster, kind of dumb, kind of need to get nerfed. Just a lot of this. Oh, I got a close up this time. Hi, this is Beastmaster. Get it out of DOTA, please. Thank you.
It's a fun and interactive hero. Much like Beastmaster throws his axes, we're now going to throw it over to Moxie and Purge.
That was an impeccable throw right there, I have to say. But yeah, maybe the wrong names here. It's fine. But you know, a look at the fact that they tried to do a counter in game number 1, Fogged, right? We saw the Slardar going up against the Lifestealer, thinking that was the solution, and now we've got the Storm thinking he's a solution to the Beastmaster, and I've seen it fail before. Is this good enough?
It's their comfort, at least, and it's not something super out of left field, like a TA mid, which we don't see too often. It's not a Slardar carry. It's much more traditional, and it's pure comfort. From Team Spirit, right? They love Tokyo on the Storm. Collapse plays his Mars that he plays so much. Mira, his most played hero, I think, is the Mirana as well. And Mapushka loves playing these saves. But it is playing into some pretty good stuff from Winstrike. You know, they have these ways to dispel and protect from axes on that Oracle. But Winstrike, they have good ways to be able to protect their heroes as well. This Abaddon pick for me is pretty huge versus that Mirana combo with the Mars. If he's always just in position, as long as he's inside the Mars ulti, he'll be able to pop his ult, shield off that initiation off of the Gyrocopter or the Beastmaster, and probably just turn the fight. So we'll see if this greedy draft from Spirit does work as Winstrike. They've drafted themselves just a nice stable one that can fight at all moments.
It seemed pretty peculiar, the fact that they picked the Mirana into the Abaddon, but perhaps it's one of those situations where they're valuing, you know, the fact that it puts some pressure early on the map. Obviously, you know, Pentiment can't be everywhere in the beginning until, you know, those bigger teammates start breaking out. But also the fact that you do have that Moonlight Shadow, right? So a little bit.
Exactly. That's the biggest one I was actually going to touch on, is the invasion plays that you can do with Mirana. Like, you don't have to always just rely on a smoke to be able to get into those Ancients and shut down Beastmaster, because that's going to be the goal, of course. The Moonlight Shadow, I think, is going to be a pretty cool tool for them to put the pressure on and try to invade at the very least. But we'll see. I think this last pick, Underlord, was really good from the side of Winstrike, because it actually solves a lot of the problems of just control. Versus Storm and PA, the pit is quite problematic. And then I see this, you know, this timing, where it's like usually this 12 to 15, 12 to 16, where Roche is going to happen if Beastmaster get Ags. Underlord and Gyro around a Roche with a Beastmaster. Can Spirit fight that? I think it's going to get to that point, and we'll see if it does, if they're actually able to contest it at all.
I think the other thing that worries me a little bit when you take a look at Winstrike's draft, we talked about the fact you've got that route, right? You've got this big AoE that, you know, Storm can't zip through, neither can, you know, PA. She can't really move throughout it. And all Beastmaster wants to do is just sit back and toss out those axes. And they found a very eloquent way to sort of deal with this first pick Storm to make it so it's not going to be that easy for him.
Absolutely, yeah. These huge bruisers in the front and just even the extra heals that comes from the Abaddon. Yeah, it should, in theory, it should be able to protect Rebel, but Spirit, overall, I actually have to agree with Brian. Maybe I am not feeling it as much from Winstrike. I do think Spirit overall has shown themselves this season to be a bit of the stronger team, but we'll see how it all progresses, right? Lane's quite good for Spirit.
Bottom lane, Yamich is taking a decent amount of harass here. I don't believe they have that level 2 online for the Oracle just yet, or else that definitely would be a kill with being able to nuke down with Purifying Flames. But yeah, we're seeing some skirmishing going back and forth. The other thing you have to remember too in that top lane is the fact that, I think they canceled out the salve, very nice there. But the fact that you have the classic combination of the Mirana and the Mars, right? It has a lot of setup potential. If you know that they don't have that aphotic shield up and running, you can potentially make some sort of, harassment plays or even possibly get a kill.
Yeah. I think for the most part, it's like going on Pantomime. If he's out of position, they can get the kills. Besides that, I think killing Gyro, that would just be a big mistake from Winstrike, really, if they do let the Gyro get caught out too far forward, as it should just be the Abba. Nice courier kill from Mira.
That little bit of a start there in the lane. Yatro sitting very low here in bottom. Does have a salve, though, given to him by Maposhka, and he does have a couple wand charges.
Yeah, besides just the pit being so effective in the later stages versus Storm and PA, Underlord versus PA in laning phase is also just an excellent match. Your base damage is just massive. You can never actually turn on to Underlord and kill him because he's just so tanky. Even though like PA Oracle is a great kill lane, Underlord doesn't care. He has 6 armor.
Keshigat's really been looking very nice in the last couple games that we've been watching him.
Yeah. He's improved a lot over the years. He's always been there. We always talk about it, we always make jokes about like the Cheshire Cat themes. They always seem to have him. The arrow will connect, but he is there.
He's already just ready to just remove it, and now Mira has to be careful. Does have a couple of these leaps if necessary, although he's sitting very low. Just got too greedy there, deciding not to take the leap early.
He just really underestimated the Cyrus coming in. I think he wanted to finish off a missile, but gets turned and also bottom.
Yeah, they find the kill over on Yakuro. He's going a little greedy, chasing after Yamich, and he just wasn't able to do it.
They're just playing around stick charges down here is what I'm seeing from Winstrike. They have so many.
Is it the Maposhka?
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
My goodness, the lanes are going beautifully for Winstrike.
They just both rush the wad, right? Your versus PA Oracle. These two heroes are probably the heroes that spam the most in the laning phase out of anybody. They had like, when I last checked on the line, he had like 10 wand charges. So what I think happened was PA went on him, they just turned the stick. Be a little more careful on Spirit in those type of plays. And check those stick charges, Cheshire Cat, the tower.
Yeah, they're trying to punish this here, but they have to be careful. Again, very difficult to make moves on Cheshire Cat as this Underlord, as he's very, very tanky.
And line one of the better actual just right clickers now that we've seen as a 4 position, just sitting behind, constantly harassing PA.
Things are lining up very nicely for the side of Winstrike. We'll see if they can continue up with this momentum here.
Yeah, mid, it's been kind of even. Tokyo's getting a 20 denies at you. Very impressive by him. Very comfortable on Storm Spirit, as we know.
Oh, yes. Very much so.
How's their stacks looking? So Beastman, yeah, his board is already chilling, waiting. He's got a triple stack already at the ready. Gonna have a quad stack. Nice enabling for this beast. Self-enabling.
Hey, you want to be a good mid, you got to take care of things yourself sometimes. I mean, showing up, getting your own wards sometimes, stacking your own camps.
That's why this Beastmaster is just so ridiculous now. And not only do you have a free ward with Hawk to cover if you are getting ganked, but you're also stacking the Ancients for yourself. It just kind of feels like it's jack of all trades.
Definitely agree with that. I mean, I remember a time when Kips was, as Cassie Kips, and she's like, there's literally a flow chart is when is Beastmaster a good time to pick? And even back, this is way before, he got all these buffs. It was always a very solid addition to your draft, whether you need to push a lane, you need an initiator, you need someone to carry auras. Like, you have all these options, and he's just gotten even better now.
Yeah, BKB piercing disable. Like a boost for your carry. It gives you tower pressure, which with Danny, maybe going back a little far, but back in the day, there was so little heroes that could actually tower pressure in the same or just enable your whole team to be a tower pressure lineup like Beastmaster. He's like one of the few where it's just like, they have no push, and then they pick the team picks Beastmaster. It's like, okay, they have push. Just instantly kind of changes the narrative really quickly.
Yeah, why is there a big aphotic shield over here all by itself? That seems odd. A little bit of a bug there.
I don't have that on my screen.
You don't?
My screen looks
Really?
totally different.
Huh.
Yeah. I actually have a float. We have the floating one together though. I'm floating one near Mira.
Excellent. Good. I'm glad that I can share this this feature with you.
The shield for me, it shows on top of Panther.
Okay. I mean,
He's about to get like speared.
you just assume that it's located there anyways, but
Yeah.
so yeah, I do have a disconnect, it looks like. So we're just gonna wait for that player to reconnect in. But definitely, you know, interested to see how the tempo works out in this game.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see if they can actually ever contest the Ancients. That's one big thing. As soon as Beast hits level 7, like he's gonna walk over there and start farming them very early on. So I'm wondering if they can look for those invasive plays. As Tokyo, he's, like we said, fully enabled. He's got an excellent start, 500 gold over the opposite mid. He's already got his bottle, he's got his 6. So he'll be strong, but he did go for farming build. That's the one thing. We've seen like all of these Stormspears now do this because you kind of have to for the lane, so you can actually win it. You go 3 points in Remnant rather than going like the 1-1-4 or the 2-1-2 that we used to see. So we'll make his damage at least to chase out a little bit different how he has to connect with it. But we will see if they can actually go for those invasions. This Rebel starting to farm.
Just a lot of trading in this top lane, a lot of just trying to put some pressure over onto Pantherman, but
Dire's middle tower
Duracho's having
is
a
under
pretty
attack.
nice time up here. He's able to get a decent amount of CS, sitting currently second. Oh, we have a big rotation coming out though in the mid lanes. They get the roar off and they should be able to chain stun up Toronto Tokyo.
Easy one, really. Just Yamich just TPs in and just actually claims the kill. I think they would prefer if Rebel got it, but yeah.
Dire's
Beauty of
middle
line
tower
versus
is
Storm
under
always,
attack.
we do have a leading stun. He's able to follow up, and again, other thing about Duracho is he did the same thing he did last time on the channel. He goes for
Dire are
Urn.
scanning.
I really like it. Like,
Radiant's
it's
middle
actually
tower
quite
is under
interesting. Last time he
attack.
didn't get an Urn charge, I think, to like the 30-something minute mark.
Right.
Stats are valuable.
Yes.
Well, there's no Abaddon here, so another pause. But this time around, you know, you can see that they recognize, okay, they don't have the Abaddon, they won't be able to go and, you know, just use the aphotic shield and lift off the stun. So this is the time to go.
Storm. I don't think they have the damage to bring it down unless they bring one more. They are. They're actually bringing Tokyo up here.
Yeah, look at this. The zip up, zip around the corner from Tokyo. He's mad that he got taken down by that Ross, but he's going to just take down Duracho. And a spear to the tower should allow Toronto Tokyo. Oh, no, you got to get in there. You got to get the final hit off there, Toronto Tokyo. You can't just play with your food like that. So Collapse will end up getting the final hit.
You sip at the cup.
I like that move a lot. They both gonna get the kill on the Jaro if he doesn't go up there. And instead, they end up getting a double kill because of his rotation. Very nice from Tokyo, always being super active even if he does die. And now they actually also will have the Arena of Blood if they do want to go for a
Radiant's
secondary
middle
one
tower
if the
is
Gyro
under
doesn't
attack.
have the Abaddon behind him. And the TP, okay, TP for Abaddon is going to be backed up since he did use that one mid to try to help Beastmaster. He didn't have it.
Radiant are scanning.
Collapse has just been so off on these arenas today. It's very unlike him. And the tip on top of it. My goodness.
Yeah, that's very rare to see him missing. I think it was an overzealous go anyway. The Abaddon was going to come back up, so I think it would have actually just maybe gotten them killed if they did chase forward for it. So maybe actually fortunate that he misses this one this time.
Possible. Definitely saw a couple really tough arenas. Those were a little bit closer though that time around, but
Yeah.
it just seems a little off on his signature hero. But Rebel over here, more than happy to just continue to farm up these stacks. It's gonna have a pretty fast Ags, I have a feeling.
Yeah, it does buy the Ogre Axe first instead of the point booster, so his mana is a bit more limited than usual. And will he get a Ruin as well, as we will have that one spawning? It's an Arcane bottom. Toronto, Tokyo, he TPs. Should be able to claim it as well.
Oh yeah, he wants that.
There we go, nice.
So we've got an Arcane Rune on Toronto Tokyo. I have a feeling that we'll probably see him get a little aggressive again if the opportunity presents itself. Especially because of the way that Lion's just kind of hanging out in that mid lane. We'll try to make some sort of a play, but they will group up over in the triangle. And leave the lane open here for Maposhka to take some of that experience and a little bit of farm.
Yeah, support's now battle in the mid lane as the mid laners just jungle. Just getting those level 6s online at a good time. Yamich is very close to his 2 on the line. That should be pretty clutch. They're actually both gonna probably hit 6 at the same time, the Oracle and the Lion, so could see some big plays coming out from Miposhka to get a nice save.
Definitely saw them earlier today as well. You see a courier.
With this Arcane Rune, he's kind of lingering around bottom. Mira.
Oh, there's going to be the Rune hold into place. Leap forward though from Mira. Not going to be able to stun up this Mirana.
Dire's
I love a
middle
player's tip
tower
like that.
is under
Sometimes it's
attack.
like, it's a good leap, but like the Lion did all he could. He couldn't get rid of the stun, so it's just like mean.
It's the mental warfare of it. I mean, all of us have played pubs. We all know what it's like to tilt, if you know. It's worked. We've seen it in the past. Some of the top tier teams will throw out a lot of tips or a lot of voice lines, whatever. Sprays even. You can't argue with the results.
No, you cannot. It's always fun. It's always a good jest anyway.
I don't know about good jest though. But
Dire's top
it is.
tower
It's fun
is
as
under
viewers to
attack.
see it and just imagine like, oh, did you see that? But everything is calming down just a little bit now. We got the 6 online for the Oracle and the 6 online for
Radiant's
Lion.
middle tower
Regen rune's
is
gonna get
under
snapped
attack.
up here by Rabel.
Tokyo.
Step forward. Yeah, and he's got Yasuo with him, so it's a nice quick kill over on Cheshire Cat here in the bottom lane.
Nice. So they're just, it looks like they're just going to be playing their own game and just not really thinking about the Beastmaster, not thinking about the invasion at the very least, because I see they're already starting the prep of the Ancient stacks for the PA Battle Fury that'll get online eventually. Yataro's making these moves not toward the Ancients, he's actually just helping out his side lanes, so that says to me, they have their own way to deal with it. They're not going to just be going straight for Beastmaster, but just enabling their other side cores rather than actually caring about the enemy lineup.
Well, again, this is one of the few teams that has found success in being able to shut down Beastmaster using the Storm. So perhaps that's why they're feeling a bit more confident and why they're not focused quite as hard on the invasion.
Yeah, I know like one of the games I believe they had like the Tidehunter and the Oracle, the double dispels, but they have the Oracle.
Have to be careful here. Arrow comes through, does not connect. They get the Pit of Malice off. Across Tokyo will just zip away and they'll force out the teleports.
Makes our Yatoro quite happy. PA knows that there's going to be no pressure onto him for quite some time until at least that Beastmaster Ags comes out, and he's got the third component in a second. So it will come out pretty early on, and it's going to have to, I think it really is going to get to that point of like Spirit fighting around Roche. Can they fight around that Roche when the Ags comes out, when there's a gyro blanketing it and a firestorm and all that?
Is this, is this our new Beastmaster cam? I just realized that it's got, yeah, if you look at the top of the cam, it's got the frogs and the axes here. Man, you know we've hit a certain point when now they get their own special cam as we watch them doing stacks.
They need it. It really is just, it's all about that. He's got a regen rune too, so he's going to be able to finish up that Axe quite soon here after he does these 2 stacks.
So then what is the play here for Winstrike, right? They're hitting a huge power peak. The fact that the Beastmaster is going to be having that Axe online. Do they start looking to put pressure down, or how did they play this now?
I think you could look for like a roar kill, and if you get it, you go straight to Roshan. I think that's really the biggest thing, is you fight around Roche with your gyrocopter call down. PA does not want to fight, so you're gonna be effectively like fighting a 5v4. The PA, if she shows up, she's just gonna die to all the various AoE and stuff like that. And it doesn't look like it'll be easy for Spirit to approach that one if Winstrike does choose to play around like that. Because that's why I felt like they picked the gyro and the Underlord. It's just to have these humongous big ults and control around that Roche pit when they inevitably do go for it with the Beastmaster axes.
A nice moment of calm here as we zoom in on the butterflies, the ambient creatures. We don't get to pay attention to those. You know, I know there's a turtle over by one of the spots that Sir Action Slacks always yells at everyone, "Let's get first blood" at. I think he's still there. Did they remove the turtle?
I think he's still there. They made them freeze now too at the paws. They used to move.
Oh yeah, I didn't notice that.
The insects even freeze now too in the river. They used to be still like moving around and stuff like that, but no longer. All right, let's go.
Back into this game.
Radiant are scanning.
Cheshire Cat's job is just defend mid-tower so that the Beastmaster can finish off. You can see the wards that they've placed out on Winstrike like 5 minutes ago or so, just to cover those 2 side angles. As the rift comes down.
Yeah, it's going up. They're gonna try to get this kill on Collapse. There's a lot of people here. All 4. They've got the Pit of Malice just holding him in place, and the burst damage coming out from Dracho is more than enough. But perhaps they can put some pressure on this mid lane in the meanwhile here. See, they're getting into position.
He still has Finger too. He saved it. He didn't waste it up top. He knows he wants to go for the bigger kill, especially on that Storm Spirit if he can.
Oh yeah, because you know that Toronto Tokyo, he's been okay. They'll use the roar over onto Maboshka. I think, yeah, that arrow unfortunately just goes straight between the two of them. But on the very bright side here, looks like Toronto Tokyo is going to be able to grab up an arcane
top
room.
tower is under attack.
I can't believe Maposhka goes up that hill.
Dire's
Like, you know
bottom
that this is going to be
tower
either
is
warded
under
or hawked at this point in the game from Winstrike. He does it without a smoke. Like, that's just, you're just giving away your life, really.
Cat just neatly sidestepping around the arrow. And it feels like Winstrike is very sassy right now with the amount of voice lines and tips that they've been dishing out.
With this type of game, like Beastmaster just sat there and got his Ancients done. Like, he's got Ags. Gyrocopter wasn't pressured in his side of the jungle either. You have to be feeling pretty good if you are Winstrike. Even though, you know, Spirit, they're playing their own game and they're still good in the net worth, good in everything with the moves they've been making. Winstrike's draft has hit a timing that they wanted without being pressured on the two main heroes.
Yeah, I'm very impressed with the way that Winstrike's been playing, because honestly, you and I have cast so many of the Team Spirit games, and they look so flawless in those earlier matches that we've seen. But Winstrike's definitely throwing a monkey wrench, well, an axe perhaps, into their whole plans, because it's just seeming much more difficult. Like, they have their number for sure. So we'll get some lords placed up.
Under attack.
I totally agree. It actually looks like Spirit's playing a much more passive style today than we have from like any of the other games. Sure, the Abaddon this time I think really kind of cripples it all, but they picked the Mirana into the Abaddon, so they have to know what was going to be coming out in these later stages.
Like how Maposhka just doesn't want them to get the D ward on his own ward there, so he goes for the deny. I do have a TP coming out of the mid lane. The axe is completed, of course, for Rabel, so might be looking to get a little aggressive as they start pushing the middle lane.
Time to hunt. They're still just farming on Duracho, but we'll see what they look to make. I think like now it's really up to them to make those moves, like force a reaction from Team Spirit. Get a steal a regen room. That's going to be pretty nice to knock that away from Tokyo. But he still has his arcane.
Oh, the arrow does connect over into Duracho. I don't think you go anywhere near that though right now if you're Team Spirit. It's a little too scary considering everything that they will be throwing at you, lockdown and damage-wise.
Oh, he uses his Urn on himself. He actually got salved by a teammate too, so that does waste his own Urn charge.
Bottom tower is under attack.
I'm sure he's not too concerned about that.
No.
Collapses, of course, being that frontliner trying. Harrow gets tossed out again. Won't connect. They'll get the root off in place though. Collapse is going to back off. There's no need to go for the dive on this tower just yet. Yapuro also showing up. The zip bar here from Toronto Tokyo. Immediately though, they'll go use the Moonlight Shadow, and they're already in position here with a nice sentry ward off to the side. They'll be able to keep tabs on various points.
We're definitely seeing the Oracle, the power versus the Beastmaster, though. The Fate's Edict, just the removal of the axes too with the Fortune's End. We're able to keep these heroes nice and tanky, so Collapse can act as that frontliner, and he also built a hood on Collapse, so just knowing how much damage Gyro, Underlord, as well as that Beastmaster, just the magic that they will be providing in the fights. Winstrike's got to get something out of all this, though. Like, the PA is still getting quite fat, but she's not getting pressured at all. She's getting all this farm, so they have to really push the issue forward to get this tower. The scan will come out. Spirit will know exactly where they are.
Well, they are trying to make something happen. They do manage to place down some deep wards as well. Duracho is going to be cutting around. Have that little path here. So Mira does have to be a little careful because he's going to run directly into the rest of the team. So, yes, they'll find themselves a kill on the Mirana. And that should allow them to go and put pressure over on this mid tower now that they don't have to worry about arrows flying at their heads.
Dire's bottom
Good
tower
angle.
is under attack.
Just wrapping through, even though it gets scanned, they get some good, deep, aggressive wards down. And now, that Roche, it's on the menu.
Don't know what they can really hope to. Perhaps Storm tries to make a cheeky play, tries to, zip on through, but it's very, very scary when you consider the amount of roots, stuns, and all just coming out here from the side of Winstrike. Looks like they're going to put pressure on the top tier 2 instead.
Dire are
Just
scanning.
going to ignore it. Looks like Tokyo's just going to zip a long way down to grab that arcane moon bottom. They're just going to play their own game. It's just going to be, I guess that really is going to be the approach from Spirit in this entire just playing their own way, just avoiding the Beastmaster until PA is ready. I was getting the PA work quite good, right, for V2, and I think Navi has shown that Sometimes it won't matter what's happening in the whole game. Your PA might just be able to carry anyway.
I was gonna ask if you were happy with the fact that Yatoro showed up in that mid lane during all that, because I feel like, I don't think he was ready to fight there, right?
No, I don't think so. I was actually surprised he did too. Maybe he just thought that they would overextend. He might be able to get some cleanup kills, but he needs to just get all the farm as possible. But he still is doing that. You know, 9,400 net worth, looking good for him.
We do have the Orchid completed now for the Storm Spirit, so the potential for pickoff is looking a little nicer. It's pretty hard, though, to burst down a lot of these guys over on the side of Winstrike. I mean, the big one, obviously, is, you know, perhaps you can get the jump over onto, you know, the Lion. He is pretty squishy. You need a +1, though, for pretty much anyone else.
Agreed. There's always this Abaddon just sitting behind people. Right now, look at the Abaddon. He's protecting Yamich. He wants Yamich to finish Blink Dagger, and then Phantom is going to go play around.
Are they gonna... They're looking for the opening, and they do have the arrow, the lockdown, and everything. So they'll be able to burst down here over onto Cheshire Cat. They need a little bit more damage. I'm not sure if they have... Yes, there it is. Leap forward, giving Vision the zip, and they'll be able to remove Cheshire Cat from this bottom lane. You have to be careful. There's a lot of people about to collapse down here on Toronto, Tokyo. Want pressure, so he is going to teleport out. Easy peasy. Everybody just leaves. They don't want to have to deal with Winstrike.
That was close too. If like Tokyo doesn't have an arcane rune, I don't think he has the mana to be able to go for the kill, because Underlord actually had his hood and his pipe locked, so he got the hood active, and then he unlocked the pipe and did the pipe as well. Actually ends up almost surviving when his team arrives, but not quite.
Definitely was close. There is a double damage rune, though, available top here for Yatoro. That is the dream for every Phantom Assassin. Zaratio is
so too.
being spotted over in the mid lane. There are plenty of other friends standing behind him. They'll go for the smoke anyways.
Yatoro is a glass cannon right now.
For sure. He has Maposhka, though, right? He's got someone who's going to be able to try to throw out saves should he reach that point, but we'll see. Collapse is going to have to land a nice arena, and we'll have to see a nice initiation also coming out from Storm with that Orchid. But we have the smoke on smoke action as well over on the side of Winstrike. We'll go hunting into the triangle.
They're also playing to Aegis still, so it still seems quite tough. Like this Gyrocopter, he's 2-1-1, but he is also quite a beast in the fights. Has the Grove Bow, has his Aghanims finished up now too, so his damage is going to be pretty crazy if he's ignored inside of the fights. A lot of target priority problems for Spirit. Like they have to kill Beastmaster, but they also don't want this Gyro to just go out of control. But they also have to watch out for the Abaddon shields. It's going to be a tough fight.
Who's the primary target number one? Is it still going to be Rebel?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Poshka having to be a little careful. He's very forward. They would love to just get rid of him very easily. Moonlight Shadow, the Hex. They have the Dust. Immediately trying to save Yatoro, but Poshka running away. And they have a decent amount of damage as they're trying to just continue to push back, but the roar comes out. They have the arena. It'll buy them just a little bit of time here. So spear over Cheshire Cat into the wall. And it looks like they're going to survive this.
That Oracle, they got to get on top of Miposhka if they're going to go for that type of kill. He just instantly ults, no hesitation, and then blocks out all the magical. 4 points in that Fate's Edict attack.
Radiant structures are fortified.
Pressure on here in the mid lane. Toronto Tokyo is just continuing to push out waves, trying to continue to farm up a little bit. Not quite ready to fight into this.
Yeah. They need to just buy some time for the PA and the Storm to be able to confidently be able to zip into the back lines. The pit and just the line control, it's a bit too scary for them still.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Again, they still have that Aegis online too, so it's just very scary to go anywhere near this. There's a Dirt Spike. Nice save here coming up from Aposhka, almost immediately trying to negate all of that magic damage like we talked about. It comes out, but it's followed up with another root here from Cheshire Cat.
Can't find a kill though. And we're seeing Collapse's build at least tank him up nicely with that pipe and that medallion, but initiation is really lacking. Team Spirit. No real Blink Daggers, no way to start the fight unless the Storm just beelines in, and that's scary when he doesn't have to take it.
No, he's definitely not ready for that. Yatoro, though, doing the best he can, trying to find any sort of breathing room here to hit creeps, try to pull the creep waves away.
They're doing a good job of finding farm when they are, you know, behind, quote unquote, in the overall game. They're finding quite a lot on the Storm and the PA playing the side lanes, because most of Winstrike, they have to play together because the way that draft works. Gyro's Aegis will get reclaimed. Nice structural damage coming out from Winstrike after they get that tier 2.
I also like this one very deep ward that the Radiant has placed in the Dire jungle.
Radiant's
I think
top
that's
tower
nice
is
because you
under
keep
attack.
seeing them trying to wander in and obviously dodge until they get those BKBs, but it gives them a lot of information, right? It gives them a little bit of information about the lane. It gives them a little bit of information also, you know, if anybody teleports in towards that outpost there.
Yeah, it lets the split push constantly happen for Storm and PA, and they just desperately need it until those BKBs are online. And it's close. Tokyo is about to have this finished. Yatoro still a bit of a ways away.
I think the big thing here is Toronto Tokyo, right? That's obviously you want your PA to have the BKB, but the fact that you are lacking in initiation, I think being able to have the BKB on the Storm and allow him to kind of zip on through and create a little bit of chaos in these fights is very, very valuable, especially right now.
Agreed. Yeah, especially because like if he does have it, he can do some fun plays where he can BKB and he jumps into the back and focuses line, and then Orchid's the abandon. So they have two different forms of control for the back line and not have to worry about any CC besides a Beastmaster. He should be covered anyway with that BKB to protect from most of the damage. So yeah, they really need that because they can't take a fight until they do have ways to kill that pesky or just disrupt that pesky backline of Winstrike.
Definitely feels like the team with the most chaos in the most recent patch tends to be the ones that are really shining in their matches currently. If you're able to split the fight, try to focus up on one person in particular, but then shift focus, it's just so good.
Now they've got a Solar Crest, 2 on the Mars, so still, I mean, initiation is going to be
Radiant's
lacking.
bottom
It's going to be
tower is under
pretty
attack.
much dependent onto Toronto Tokyo.
I mean, Collapse does have the Blink Dagger queued up. He's working towards it, but yeah, it is a bit difficult at this time. And there is the BKB now completed as well for Rebel.
These fights feel like they're going to be really hard for Spirit, even if they are getting away with all this farm. It feels like it's going to have to be like a perfect situation for them inside that fight. I feel like for Winstrike, it's a lot just easier to execute. They just click, Gyro BKB, they have the shield to protect him too, and Yamich just focuses onto the Storm and sits in the back lines. Overall, it does feel like it's going to be a much easier approach for Winstrike, and they have overall map control. So the next Roche probably going to be the biggest one that we look at. They should be able to claim that one pretty easily too.
Arrow tossed in. Smoke though, over here on Winstrike, they know exactly where they are. Sit up all behind. Got Yamich finding the opening, is only going to get caught here by that arena. The call down, plus the shadow. There'll be a move on Yamich. Will jump over. It's a nice hold, but Toronto Tokyo again. He's got the BKB. He's got to be careful though. They're doing a decent amount of damage. Ziatro jumping into the lines, has his own BKB, is trying to just put out enough damage to try to take down Rebel, but it's not quite enough. They cancel it out though. They turn back around. They want to take this fight. They realize that they're very strong right now. So they go throw down the pit of Malice over onto Collapse. You can do Toronto Tokyo onto the back lines. He's trying to finish off Toronto, and he just cannot seem to do it. Pantherman has taken a lot of damage already. Toronto Tokyo does eventually get chased down, and somehow this Abaddon's still alive. Eventually taken down by the punch. The Rebel falls in Chestercat. They go right back in again. Toronto, oh, he falls, and now Yamich Dataro is just on fire with a triple kill.
That went well.
And that's a dieback for
Radiant's
Yamich.
middle
too.
tower
Yatoro
is
fully
under
cleans
attack.
up. They chase a little too far for the Storm. Yatoro just jumps from target to target with Imp Claw with Deso. He just killed all the damage in the fight for his team.
That
Dire's
was
middle tower
wild
is under
there.
attack.
Yeah, you can see, and they
Dire's
fought
top
into like a
towers are
bottleneck for a second. We got really nervous for Toronto Tokyo, but see Yatoro just jumping on the back lines, and it just doesn't seem like he has
Dire's
quite enough
middle
damage, right? He's
tower has
chasing after
fallen.
Rebel this entire time. Cheshire Cat, they end up canceling out that teleport out. And just look at the way
Dire's
Yatoro
middle
keeps
tower
dodging
is
in,
under
out,
attack.
back and forth. He has this capability as Toronto Tokyo drawing Daracho away. And then Yatoro jumps back in here, just waiting patiently.
Beautiful resets. Like
My God.
beautiful constant resets from Yatoro, really.
And you know, I talked about it, Fogg. I talked about having that chaos. That was one hell of a chaotic fight. I didn't even see Yatoro on my screen half the time because they were just so split. They're trying to follow, Toronto Tokyo. They're trying to follow Daracio, and then just the ins and outs, back and forth, those skirmishes. Absolutely beautiful coming out from Team Spirit. It's what we need to see from them.
Yeah, and I mean, I was mentioning how this V-Tune with the PA was able to just make some magic happen. A couple crits from Yatoro in this fight definitely make the magic happen. They canceled the Rift because they were so healthy too, right?
Yeah.
1,200 crit clean comes into play as soon as they cancel, and it's like, oh man. And then the Spear pushes Gyro on the low ground, so he chases Storm, he split from his team. A huge hit, really, from Team Spirit.
And I mean, this gyro is the one who's putting out the physical damage at this time. Everything else is magical,
Radiant's
so if
top
the
tower is
EKBs
under
are up,
attack.
it's just not as much of a warrior, though. Thinking about going back in here. Collapse. Edging forward. I can see Turacho. Got the arena. So I'm gonna go and pop it immediately. Throw out a dagger. Stun off. Moonlight Shadow comes out. The zip forward, though, coming out from Toronto Tokyo. They go, they trap 3 of them inside the arena, and they're just going to town over here on Turacho. They're just absolutely slaying them. Rebel with the roar, though, will be able to stun up the PA. This decided Cheshire Cat says, we gotta get out of here. We gotta get out of here fast, guys. Everybody in the Uber right now. We're leaving, and oh my god, they managed to kill Cheshire Cat. They take out so much damage. Other than Rebel also falling. It's a team wipe. Going for the side of Team Spirit.
They've caught their footing. They hit their timing.
Oh my god.
He's ready. They kill the gyro. Now they're gonna get a rush. The game is over for Winstrike. This PA just has too big, and they get the perfect jump. They kill the gyro before he can do anything, and my god, look at the damage. 8,400 from PA.
I mean, the roar buys them like this tiny little bit of time, but look at this. Cheshire Cat, he's trying to get everybody in, but there's just too much damage coming out here. Toronto Tokyo zipping.
That was so sick from Miposhka, actually. It's not a save that he used his ult for. I actually didn't see it in the middle of the fight. He used his ult to just
Dire's
purge off
middle
the
tower
hex
is
of
under
the PA
attack.
so that she can burst down the Underlord so that they can kill him before he Ubers everyone out. That was actually a heads-up play from Miposhka. That was actually sick.
That's so cool. Little tiny thing. Oh my god. All right, yeah, Yatoro just jumps on Pantaman. Has the fan of knives like we saw in the other matches where it was picked up by V-Tune.
Yep, just gets it from that second rush. I mean, now they just have full control. It's 14k gold lead. It's the double BKB timings were hit, and they hit really hard in that last fight, which could have gone either way. That first fight that happened was so close to going for Winstrike's favor, but now the game fully in control by Spirit.
Got the baiting out of collapse was just so good too. You know, he keeps edging forward and they're like, oh, that's weird. You know, maybe he's by himself, or they aren't quite sure what's going on Winstrike until they wait for Toronto Tokyo to just zip right into the back lines. The arena comes up, captures 3.
It's a different approach, right? No blink bars.
Yeah.
His build is definitely working, just having that Oracle sitting behind him, constantly putting Fate's Edict to
Radiant's
protect
top
first
tower
access.
is under attack.
That's a really interesting approach
Radiant
from Spirit. It's
structures are
absolutely won
fortified.
and worked for them this game. As I'm looking at Winstrike, like the posture around the map too. I'm sure they're feeling the same. They're like, oh my god, what the hell do we do now? Like gyro
Oh god.
PA.
Radiant's top tower is under
There is
attack.
absolutely nothing he can do here. My
Dire's
god,
middle
that
tower
arrow
is
just
under
giving
attack.
the vision, and Yatoro was ready to go. Jumping in with the fan of knives, with big old
Dire's middle
crits.
tower has
And now they're
fallen.
just walking high ground. They've got an Aegis.
Dire's middle
They've
tower
got a
is under
very
attack.
strong Phantom Assassin, and they've got a very mobile Storm
Radiant's
Spirit. Oh,
top
this
tower
arrow
is under
gives them a little
attack.
bit of vision over here on Rebel.
Dire's
Fortification is
structures
going to come out.
Dire's
try to clear
middle
up the
tower
creep wave,
is under
but-
attack.
Empowering up Yatoro the best that they can
Dire's
here.
middle tower has fallen.
Tosses out the dagger. Got the Lotus Orb on him too. Lots of dispels coming out here. Arrow toss out will just take down the
Radiant's
boar.
top tower is under attack.
Another dispel.
Dire's middle barracks.
There's so many now.
Dire's middle barracks are under attack.
Well, looks like
Yeah,
they'll
they're just so safe.
They'll respect
they
it. They'll
just
back off.
out. And they can't go for these backline heroes now that they've gotten these like 2 successful fights. Everyone's huge on Spirit. Blink, Aether Lens on Miposhka. Like you said, the Lotus Orb on Mira. They have so many ways to just amplify this PA's power and just defense. This is overall as another Scotty picked up. You saw that Scotty picked up
Dire's
V2
bottom
earlier
tower is under
on the PA
attack.
as well. It's really good versus those ranged carries.
Oh, for sure. And this is the Spirit that I think a lot of people
Dire's
were expecting to
bottom
see
tower
today,
has fallen.
Yeah.
where they just hit that critical item timing, and all of a sudden it's go time.
Yeah, I feel like every time I see these
Radiant's
PAs,
top
they always get
tower
over
is under
destruction as
attack.
well. That's the Deso, over
Dire's
destruction,
bottom
minus armor,
tower is
etc.
under attack.
Fun. You know what? I'm happy to see it. I'm happy to see all that fun. It's first
I know, right? We're just all hoping that Beastmaster loses because we're sick of seeing him in our pubs. We're sick of seeing him in these professional matches. We got to find some sort of way to
Radiant's top tower
deal with
is
them. They do have
under
the
attack.
MKB completed now for the gyro. Could he survive the initial burst, though? I guess is the question. Arrow tossed out again. Yasuro's just being allowed to do whatever he wants as he blinks the weapons. They've been coming up from Toronto Tokyo with the BKB. To follow up again, they grab 3 over here in this arena. But Toronto does have to be a little bit careful. Going to the dodge first. Cheshire Cat going down the BKB over on Toronto. It doesn't do anything because Yasuro here. It's
Dire's
just
bottom barracks
too
has fallen.
strong here. Yatro, the rest of the side of Team Spirit, they hit those timings like we said, Mark, and boy, did they bring the hurt.
So clutch, like double BKB timings are hit at the perfect moment this game, and honestly, like, they didn't really put the attention to Beastmaster. Like, they weren't thinking about Beastmaster. It looked like they were just thinking about their own game, playing for these side lanes, playing for the make AA strong, but overall AA in the lane, it's just not really that strong. So I do think the Collapse is going to get a lot up here. Dyrachyo, though, does seem like he's also going to be able to free farm.
I think you're a little bit more concerned in the fact that, you know, the Tidehunter, of course, coming online a little bit faster, a little bit earlier, will cause some problems for Winstrike because they do have to play so fast. But again, we're seeing that combination that we talked about before with Cold Feet, with the stun. Not going to be able to quite finish off Collapse, but the damage has indeed been done here. Spirit does manage to go and get a snipe off on the courier. Collapse, though, is... that is true. Collapse, of course, though, is going to need a little bit more regen here.
Mira had the salve just brought out on the courier. The salve on the Tide. Bottom?
Just skirmishing back and forth.
Yeah, just constant battles between the two of them. Cheshire Cat, he should be fine. It's just Yamich's positioning has to be a little bit careful for this Tiny. That's where I was like a little bit, you know, I didn't really get why they picked the Tiny in the game, but we'll see what he can do.
So I know that our panel was pretty split on the whole idea of, you know, the fact that you've got a gyrocopter, right? Gyrocopter wants to kind of stand in the middle of everyone. He wants to just hit people with flak. But then, of course, they have the Ancient Apparition over on the side of Winstrike. So, you know, normally speaking, not super great feeling when you're playing that gyrocopter, but does it get changed with the fact that you have an Oracle on your team?
Yeah, I do think so. He can negate pretty much the Storm, the Timber, the Tiny, and the AA entirely. Like, it's going to be able to just take out so much of that damage. Even not even just with False Promise. Like, if he just throws a Fate's Edict, it's going to be able to protect versus a lot of that burst. And yeah, the False Promise overall, if it's timed properly, it'll always counteract the AA. And then the Lifesteal will kick in anyway for the gyrocopter. So yes, I think overall, the Oracle should be able to do quite well. And it's Miposhka. This is like his most practiced hero. So his positioning is usually quite on point.
Yeah, he was fantastic in the other games that we saw when he was playing the Oracle, of course, being able to negate a lot of that damage coming out from the magic spells and whatnot. And we even saw, you know, Oracle earlier today as well. I believe it was in the game versus Na'Vi, being able to just negate all the damage coming out from Luna just because you have a good firm understanding of your spells and you sit in very good positions.
Yeah, I think this hero is definitely one of the best 5 positions in the game at the moment with all like just the crazy burst that I'm seeing so many teams have. Is Tokyo and Rebel both want the rune. Rebel has rushed the boots, so he's just a bit faster. He'll steal that one away from Tokyo. And
now the brothers will take a moment to stare at each other. We do have a little bit of lag though, unfortunately, it seems. So have another quick pause.
This could be a weird spot for Rebel. Because I see that Rubik is rotating over. Rubik has boots and a spell. I think Tokyo might just actually battle with him and just body block until Rubik gets over.
Stupendous! Seems to be the play here, as he takes a little bit of damage, but again, Mira, with that rotation, throw out a couple of these hits here. The lift, the toss right back in again with that Remnant, and Tokyo will happily collect the kill on Rebel.
It was cute. You know, it was a cute move from Rebel to like, he rushes boots and bottle like immediately with no other stat items in between, so he can try to steal runes away. But Mira, heads up move, playing around this 4-minute rune as well, and also just to stack some camps. He gets a fortunate timing on that rotation. Yeah, Mitch will stack the small camp so that his Storm can keep getting that good farm. Even though he did die, he is still having a good time. But look at these runes. The double water runes are going to be taken away. Spirit's going to get one on Tokyo. Mira's going to take the other, and Rebel will not be able to fill up his bottle again. Yeah, but he does have full life, so.
Still hurts though, right? That's one of the perks of being able to play the Storm Spirit right now, is the fact there are so many runes available, so you really do have a lot of options. But again, not the worst thing in the world.
No, definitely not. Cheshire Cat's still only level 3 bottom. He's having a little bit of problems. Whenever the Tiny leaves him, it's actually quite a lot of magic damage between the two of them here, Oracle and Gyro.
They're gonna turn this right around over here on Mira. They've got the slow, and with Yamich being here, the toss up into the air, that's a dead Rubik.
Very nice. And Dyrachyo's still able to farm up here anyway versus that Tidehunter, so that'll level out. Collapse also getting something, but Yamich might get the courier. He wants it. It's dancing.
Oh, he's trying. He can't quite. There it is.
There you go.
Those wards and the clarity. Mira's not getting those today. No siree.
No. Now that he's left Cheshire Cat bottom, he has the levels to be able to tank up decently. Though he does have to be careful still, Cheshire Cat. I see he's bringing... Okay, good. He's bringing a raindrop. I was about to say, he should probably get, like, Bracer or raindrop to make himself a bit tankier since there's so much magic between these two. He should be able to get still something down here.
The top lane again. The Gush, the toss back again here with Dyrachyo. It's not quite enough damage to finish him off, though. And I do like the way that the bottom lane is playing. The fact that, you know, they whenever there is no Tiny in that lane, they are going to play aggressive. They're going to be all up in the face of this Timbersaw.
They have to. I mean, look at Yatoro's last hits. He's starting to fall kind of behind on the gyro. The Wraith King lane is actually going a bit better than this Gyrocopters is at the moment. And my God, what's going on with
There's a lot.
Like
yeah,
crazy.
there's something going on here, unfortunately. Proud to Tokyo's gonna have to do a quick disconnect. But yeah, the pressure, you know, we've got level 5 now here for the Timbersaw. So starting to catch up a little bit. And, you know, Maposhka and Yatoro, between the two of them, I mean, that's always been one of the perks of playing an Oracle too, right? Is the fact that once you hit that level 3, you've got the capability of doing a decent amount of nuke damage, and then paired up with something like a Gyrocopter, of course, you're going to be able to output quite a bit of magic damage from him as well.
Yeah, if the lane's like very close to the Radiant Tower, that's what's very problematic for Cheshire Cat. Even if he gets like a couple Timber Chains off, they have so much chase. But if he is able to do stuff like this, where he actually pulls creep aggro back toward his tower, he's in a safe position to survive, because they need like 2 or 3 sets of spells with the Oracle to actually kill him. Raindrop might save him too, so if he's close to tower, he should be quite safe. And this is actually an interesting one to point out. Rebel did not even take a point in Vortex. I actually haven't seen a Storm do this in so long. It's every time you hit level 4, you always take Vortex, he skips it.
Why do you think that is, in particular?
I think just thinking about the farm game, like he died twice, so he's probably just like, my God, I need to just focus on myself and just play inside the jungle for the time being until I hit like level 8 to make a move to counter gank a side lane.
Okay, so just trying to do the recovery game for the time being, and doesn't want to get too distracted by taking too many, you know, weird initiations or fights in the meanwhile, so.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's still weird to see. It's gonna make him like, if he does gank like one of these side lanes and he doesn't have pull, like he'll just completely miss the kill because they don't have extra disable, and they are quite limited. You know, that's Panel was talking about it too. They have a Wraith King stun, they have the tiny combo, and then it's just Storm for their control. So it is a little bit lackluster.
Seems like they're still doing fairly well. I mean, again, we talked about the top lane, the fact that you've got the Ancient Apparition paired up with Wraith King, kind of a classic duo that can put out a decent amount of damage. Especially, you know, we watched the Tidehunter as he ended up falling, or not falling, but, you know, getting a lot of damage placed upon him during that. Wow, that Wraith King looks absolutely ferocious there from this angle. My goodness.
He's got a good
angry man
right there. Ooh. I like it.
Pretty nice. But yeah, you know, we talked about the fact that the Wraith King is looking very good in terms of, you know, the CS, and the Gyrocopter falling just a little bit behind. Not, you know, horrifically so by any means, but definitely want to be playing very quickly on the side of Team Spirit.
Okay, now Collapse is much safer up top now that he does have him. So before he's got point in Kraken, doesn't have to worry about the chain stun of the cold feed. He's just constantly controlling him, since he'll be able to dispel one off. He's a lot safer. And seeing moves around the map constantly now. 6 minutes checking the runes. Team Spirit constantly helping Tokyo. I see this every time they play. They double check runes quite often. And also the stacks though. Mira already has a triple stack at Hard Camp and double at Ancients for Collapse. That should help to be able to farm and catch back up, because he is having a little bit of a tough time on this Tidehunter.
Dire's bottom.
I mean, this is just the nature of the lane, like we talked about. Yes, you know, he's tanky, he's got the Kraken shell, so he's going to be survivable, but he's not going to have the greatest time. So I do like the fact that they are trying to, you know, take care of him. We are seeing the Timbersaw, though, making a rotation to the top lane, so.
He can kill Tide quite easily with the shot from.
Open up with the Timber Chain, getting into position, going to do some pincering. Cold Feet, Vortex, it should maybe, oh no, they need a little bit more damage here. And I mean, Collapse is really making them work for it. The body blocks are coming out, he's trying to juke around the trees, but you know who hates trees and cuts them down easily? It's Timbersaw, so he's going to ensure that Collapse will fall.
I love that move so much by Cheshire Cat. The moment he hits 6, he goes top. Wraith King's gonna kind of go jungle. Timber doesn't want to be down bottom. He can play around this top and mid area, and I mean, I think he'll probably just still leave the lane for the AA. But I love that he makes that pressure play.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Yeah, I think it was entirely necessary because again, he's very tanky, and you know, I was in the middle of saying, you know, they put pressure on him, but they haven't been able to quite get that kill. But when you have that rotation from Cheshire Cat, that makes it way easier, and that's definitely the person that they need to slow down right now.
And actually even cooler. So they're actually going to leave the Timber up there to counteract the Tidehunter, and they're going to send the AA bottom to soak up the levels. AA can die. There's a quick little setup of anything will kill him, but if he's able to pull lane back, he'll get something out of it. This is great maximization, great efficiency coming up in Winstrike.
definitely seems to be the name of the game today for them. They've made some really smart adaptations in what they're playing against. And I really love seeing when teams are very dynamic in the way that they play. But Toronto Tokyo here does manage to grab himself a haste rune. Does have to be a little bit careful because he doesn't know where people are situated right now on the map. So just gonna back off.
And it's Winstrike, its efficiency is the name of the game right now, just like you're saying. So look at the way that they're playing. AA soaking bottom, Timber soaking top, Wraith King farming jungle, Storm farming stacks, Tiny soaking mid. So it's all looking perfect the way that they do have this set up right now for them. However, looking at Spirit, they also have their thing going, right? That quad camp, hard camp now has been farmed for collapse, so he's caught right back up. And they have that triple stack ancient set. So both teams are being quite efficient with their movements at the moment. I think the supports, though, on the side of Winstrike are going to be a bit more leveled because of this AA.
It just seems to be a gentleman's agreement here on the top lane between Cheshire Cat and Collapse. Not really able to do too much to one another at this time, but...
No.
Dracho?
Showing up in the mid lane, I would be so if I was Yamato, but that's my like,
get out.
What's the point of you guys go jungle on Storm and Wraith King? I'm at 4th position struggling for a home. But either way, it's fine. He's able to get the farm, and I guess they want to be active. AA has sit 6, so perhaps the Tiny and AA can actually just look for a setup on almost anybody here. A lot of damage.
I feel like the fact that both of us just watched Sriracha just run in mid, and we both had the same exact reaction, like, sir, excuse me, what are you doing here? But
I'm farming here, man. Like, come on.
Yeah, he's not afraid of anything at this time. He knows that, you know, the rest of the side of Spirit, they're still, you know, trying to farm up, trying to protect the gyro, and just doesn't have to fear anything at this time.
Yeah, they're just gonna leave the Racho mid to keep farming. They're gonna send the Tiny to soak the lane where the AA was soaking. And they're gonna play around the runes. Very passive early game. 10 minutes now, both teams just playing their own style. Just like we saw Team Spirit do in the last game. It's just all about playing to their own strength.
Tokyo was thinking about it. Just gonna dodge away. Goes right back in the end, though. He has that haste. Vortex on top. Back. Ice Blast will collapse over onto Collapse's Phantom, and he's going right back into Avalanche, so it looks really nice. It'll buy them just a little bit more time. So Collapse and Toronto Tokyo will back off.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Tokyo, still with the haste, wants to make a move out, but it's Cheshire Cat with the hood and level 4 reactive. Probably just wants to take the creeps off the tower so that the pressure stops. But killing this guy's a lot more difficult. Till Mira's 6. He really needs to have that kill potential.
I mean, you do have the rotation coming out from Yatoro now, so they do manage to slow him down. They've got that remnant. They've got the hit of the missile. Oh, just quite managed to go and just they managed to take down Cheshire Cat. Beautiful play coming out here from the Rubik.
Mira, God, what the?
Perfect timing.
Perfectly times the lift, so it cancels the chain across, and they get the kill just because of that. And I'm surprised they actually get that kill versus Hood and level 4 reactive and Chip Vest. All right, Spirit.
Well, I mean, again, if they don't get that lift off, he is just gonna hightail it out of there. But look,
yeah,
the chain goes out, and
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Beautiful.
Frame perfect. Picture perfect, honestly. Couldn't ask for more from you, Rubik. Against Yamich.
Top lane, they'll get the jump over onto Yatoro. The top back as well. And it looks like they should be able to take down Maposhka. Just a couple clicks here. Tokyo also now on the back foot. Mira's just got that chamber chain, so he's going to be able to zip on out.
Nice steal. Great play from Yamich. 4 positions are impressing on both sides here. The Rubik and that Tiny. Rubik with the first thing, and then Tiny catching the Oracle, tossing
Dire's
him on
middle
top of the
tower is
gyrocopter
under
so he
attack.
can't get the save. Really nice hit by Winstrike up top.
Radiant's
Is
top
that the
tower
Orchid done?
is under
I
attack.
think it is already finished. So
Radiant
Rebel,
are
very early
scanning.
timing on his Orchid, just straight up rushing with no stat items in between.
It's actually going to make things so incredibly scary for pretty much the entire team, other than maybe the Tidehunter, right?
Here I am.
Oh, and
Dire's
a regen
bottom tower
rune
is
on
under
top of
attack.
that. So just ignore Collapse, and I think if you're the Storm, you go hunting.
Radiant's top tower
this
is under
Storm can
attack.
like just evaporate the
Dire's
supports in
middle
particular. Now
tower
Void
is
Spirit
under
Tokyo, he
attack.
has his Yule Scepter done, so he has a way around it. So the core's probably a bit of a tough target for Rebel, but these two supports very vulnerable to this Orchid right now. He's got the regen too, so he can make some active move, but they don't feel like they need to. Deracho is able to get this free farm.
Radiant's
Almost has his
bottom
relic
tower
for that
is
Radiance
under
online.
attack.
It's looking pretty good for Winstrike right now.
And you can see the side of Team Spirit grouped pretty tightly
Dire's
together over
top
in this
tower
mid lane.
is under attack.
Of course, they don't have the Rubik right now. He's just trying to shove out the lanes. One of those supports that has that capability. Surprised that they haven't tried to make anything happen here, considering that they do have the Ravage online for Collapse. They've had it for a while now.
Yeah, and it does feel like they might have to make a move soon. Like, Tiny gets a Blink Dagger, then it's going to just make it much easier for Winstrike to just cause havoc inside the fights of just pulling targets away from the Oracle, right? Like a toss back, and then Oracle can't actually get in position to save you.
Looking for me?
Yeah, this downside, I feel like it just does benefit Winstrike, because I like Wraith King carry overall much better than Gyro carry. I actually have not been seeing the Gyros have too much success across the board.
Yeah, I was going to ditto that, and we've even seen it with the IO pickup too, and it just never feels super memorable, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I really do like the way the Wraith King's going to be able to scale in this game.
It almost makes me wonder if they were hoping that they'd be able to pick that up for the side of Team Spirit instead. We have seen Yatoro play quite a bit of it, especially in the first season. But you can't leave it in the pool like that. It is a hotly contested hero. Still, even after all this.
I think they just needed the stun hero, and they had the Wraith King still open, so yeah, it was nice. As Tokyo, he smoked, trying to get a hit onto Yamish. They want to kill this Tiny in particular, but Winstrike's prepared in the area.
Looks like they might get a little bit of a fight over here by the root. The toss up. Kofi Clouds, though, have the root coming in hot here. Those generated up. Follow up. Yamish gets done. Will fall. Ice Blast connects over onto several, but there's just no follow-up damage right now. They don't want to do a hard middle.
Radiant's top tower is
Now
under
they have to give up
attack.
the tower probably too. He can at least spam it, but they don't want to take a fight around here without the time. They still need a lot more time for Wraith King to farm. So this one, it looks like it should get taken down by Spirit quite soon.
Bounty.
Pressure out here, but it's taking them a while. They don't have necessarily the greatest tower hitters at this point in the game, so.
Yeah, Cheshire Cat's feeling himself.
Yeah, he really is.
Vortex too, like there's a little amp up. They're too scared to actually pressure, because if they just like overstep by just a bit too much, they will just get killed by the chakram and all that, but.
Looks like they're gonna turn their attention instead to the top lane. They do have a nice ward over here. They saw that Rebel has been farming, so perhaps they can make some moves.
What a surprise.
But look at this, already Cheshire Cat realizing that this is their play. It's gonna go just push the creeps off the tower, and we do have a big smoke coming from the side of Winstrike.
I'm loving the way that they're playing the map right now. Like this Wraith King's getting full free farm. Look at like Team Spirit, they're bringing their carry up here to try to pressure, but Cheshire Cat's just in the right place at the beginning of this.
Yeah, they get the they almost managed to burst down the Shimmer. In fact, they will do it. They follow up with a nice Ravage over onto two. The Zip forward though coming out for Yamish, not able to get taken down here as they get to start turn around. Dracho now running for his life, and so is Rebel. He doesn't have a whole heck of a lot of mana, and somehow Team Spirit is just chasing them down one by one. They're looking, they drag them right back in with that Aether Remnant. That's going to be the reincarnation. Waiting patiently now, will come back up, and they just have so much burst damage. Yamish trying with that Avalanche, but it's not enough to save Dracho. Diablo does eventually fall. I know Rebel, he's out of mana. He can't get out of this. It's not looking good for him at all as Collapse just smacks him with the anchor.
They forced it so hard on the side. I thought they were just going to play. I thought they were just going to play around like the tower defense there with the Timber Saw, but they even call the Wraith King in over and force a fight, and they whip the Ice Blast. It actually put that was quite a big mistake there from Winstrike. Right after I was praising them too.
You cast his curse, dude. Oh, a little bit off the mark, but they weren't off the mark this time here, as Void Spirit is able to just step out, sitting a little low. Scott Maposhka here, though, is going to be able to keep him alive and healthy.
Yeah, that was... I can't believe they brought Dyrachyo over. Like, he had Radiance done, too, and he TPs to the end of the fight before the Radiance is even on him. Like, oh, they had such a good setup for all of it in Spirit. They take a big fight just into everything there from Winstrike, just preparing, because they moved away from their tower. They should have just stayed fighting around the tower a little bit better.
Dyer's
like it was tough to the entire time. It felt like the Storm Spirit didn't have much mana anyways when he first jumped into that fight as well.
Yeah, he's been trying to get the big pop on Yatoro, and then the Ice Blast just gets blown right in front of him. He just whiffs completely. Literally just double clicked or something. So they messed up their initiation, their go, and yeah, it really caused quite a bit of problems.
Radiant's bottom
Costly
tower
mistake
is under attack.
On the side of Winstrike, but they're still sitting, you know, they still look pretty good right now. You've got this Wraith King who's been farming exceptionally.
Yeah, they're still in a pretty good spot. Like the Wraith King's still great. Just like it's such a sad way because he just got the Radiance, shows up. He doesn't even have it on him. He actually has it on the courier and then dies twice. So It's just an approach that Winstrike
Radiant's
didn't want to
bottom
have
tower
happen.
is under
Not in
attack.
that manner. If they just waited maybe like 10, 20 seconds more, it would have been a different story. Especially if they were like fighting around their tower. Instead, they get peeled down to the south side where the ward is already covered for Spirit. So, a bit of a weird one.
Where's my pension?
Oh, cutting it up.
Double damage snapped up now here by Cheshire Cat.
You have to blink now on Yamich, so they should have easier attempts of just initiation and better ways to just blow up one of the targets for Pantomime and Yamich. But they do need to find the Oracle. Still going to be the same thing as getting to that back line, finding Miposhka so they can't get these saves off.
I do have to say, like, Miposhka has been just so good with his positioning.
Always.
It's a difficult thing to play an Oracle into a Storm Spirit. Like, it is actually so incredibly hard. But he's managed to get off all of his spells. Even if he does die in fights, he almost always manages to get off the spells necessary. Looks like Pantomen, though, is going to walk right into Tokyo and Yatro. And look at this. Tokyo doesn't even bother. He's like, all right, I know my boy's got it. He's going to keep looking and see if anyone else is left behind here.
Radiant's middle
Bloodthirst.
tower
I love
is
to
under
see
attack.
players, especially mid players, having that. It's like, you don't go for the one kill, you always go for the next. I always see Toronto Tokyo doing this in every single one of their games. Always goes for the higher priority target. They were trying to take advantage of the fact that Reincarnate was down. Even though they didn't have their Ravage, they tried to just still fight because they're feeling strong. Reincarnate's now back. Maybe a little harder to pressure Duraccio.
And they know exactly where Rebel is. Like, every time. They have a great just
They do.
vision over there in the dire jungle. I'm surprised that they aren't trying to make more out of it. I guess it's hard though, right? You have to have the right setup to jump the Storm Spirit.
Yeah, they don't have the most, the most disables. They do have some decent ones with the Lift and that Aether Remnant, but yeah, it's definitely a little bit complicated until like Collapse has Blink Dagger in particular.
Well, more grouping up over here in the mid lane. And again, Cheshire Cat's just going to throw the Chakram out. Try to push through, and Rubik will get himself a nice steal there. Will be able to push lanes out himself even more efficiently. And it looks like, yeah, they're thinking about just walking into the Roche pit. That's pretty difficult for the side of Winstrike to get in there when you consider the fact that Collapse does indeed have Ravage. He's got a pipe. You've got saves coming out here as well. I don't know, do they contest?
I love Winstrike can approach. No, I think that they don't have the same amount of team fight. It's just a walk-in approach. Like this Tidal is going to get a great Ravage. Ice Blast is down now too, so Spirit, they can reset. Wait for that to come back off and either smoke and look for a fight or just jump right in.
Is this a situation where they should have been ready to jump in immediately after the Ice Blast instead of using it as a scout?
In a position.
Oh, speaking of position, Cheshire Cat. I know you're feeling very mighty, my friend, but you are not that mighty against what they can throw out against you like that.
Not versus Chakram and Iceborne. Sorry, that's not the same, but just Chakram. And the fact that Mir is able to steal level 2 Chakram is also looking to go down very soon from Tokyo.
Yeah, it feels like Tokyo's just playing with this food right now. Does have to be careful, though. So zip forward. Poke again over on Pantomen. They have Collapse nearby. The Gush. Collapse on a killing spree.
And Spirit, just continuing to impress with their movements. Now they still have Ravage. They got the Roche, so now the next upcoming fight, they'll still have it. They'll be able to take the fight versus Winstrike, and it's starting to get a little complicated for Winstrike. What they want to do is they have to get BKBs online if they do want to look to actually fight into this Ravage and Gyrocopter. So they do have the one, but they have to get the second one on the Wraith King to be able to follow up. But that means also that Duracio's not going to blink for the instant follow-ups that we see is so crucial for most of these Wraith Kings.
I mean, on the bright side, he is managing to find farm all over the map. He's doing a great job. He's keeping up neck and neck, of course, with the Gyrocopter. So have to look at that positive side of things here for Duraccio. He's very good at that, I find. And that he's always managing, even if, things are looking really tight, he always finds that farm on the map.
Denied!
Yeah, and his only death is his team calling him to go fight with him. So. Quite sad for him is DD does spawn bottom. Okay, Rebel will have that one in the bottle with his BKB at the ready.
Oh, they might run into Yatoro here. They have the smoke up. They're hunting. Yeah, they have the scan. Should immediately be backing off.
Collapse just puts himself right in the front of it all because he's the one who wants to get initiated on. He'll just get a great Ravage if that's the case.
Look at the way they're hugging the tree line here, Duraccio. Being patient as well. We've got Cheshire Cat very forward. Collapse will show himself. See Yatoro as well. The stun off, put out a little bit of that damage. Not a hard committal by any means here, as the rest of the team still waiting. And very nice position. Drop down a sentry. Duraccio coming forward. Put a little little bit of damage over onto DOTA. Followed up the shot and zip through coming out from Storm. He's looking at the back. He wants to get rid of him here. They want to get rid of that Oracle. They do manage to go with the BO3 to follow with the Ravage as well. Poshka buying back into DOTA. He is going to fall here. As Yasuo and the rest of the crew, they're looking over on the back lines. Ripple is out of mana for the most part as Toronto Tokyo is looking. Yamich, though, will be able to provide some of the backup. And they just keep throwing out these great dispels, trying to keep this gyrocopter alive. And somehow they finally manage to take down Toronto Tokyo. And they just separate the fight so nicely that they're able to find it. They're not going to be able to go and just cancel out any of these TPs either. So pretty nice fight here coming up from Winstrike. A bit of a shame that they end up losing the Wraith King, but they take out the mid, they got the Ravage, and they took out the Tidehunter to boot.
That was definitely, it was a really good fight. They couldn't get the tier 1, yeah, which kind of stinks, but man, that was crazy. The plays, like Rebel just diving into the backlines for the Oracle. Poshka actually pre-casted Fortune's End on himself, so the Orchid hit him. He dispelled it instantly, but it didn't matter. He died. That was a really cool play, though. Definitely wanted to highlight it for him, because he did get that little playoff, but overall, great fight from Winstrike, just surrounding them and somehow killing the Tide, killing these right targets, forcing a buyback from the Oracle, avoiding the gyrocopter ages completely.
Man, just look at the way they split up this fight. They got the Ice Blast off too this time around, so that makes a big difference.
Yeah. And Collapse not able to heal up at all inside of all of it there. And they're able to just reset with the important heroes. And Tokyo, I don't think he expected to die. Like, if you watch this up here on the top left, he drops so low, he gets the Dissimulate off, and then he gets hit by like an overload hit when he still had an Astral step up. So perhaps he could have played around it, but just takes a little more damage than he expected.
Very nicely done by Winstrike.
And they needed that. So it's looking a little bit scary. But now they do have their triple cores very enabled, and Tokyo dying has slowed down his progress for his next item quite a lot.
So a bit of mirroring coming out now from the side of both the teams. See that there's some play coming out from Winstrike in that bottom lane. They want to put some pressure down on the tower, and they're trying to find safe farm up here for Yatro and the rest of the crew, but still very neck and neck. This has really been a very fun series to watch, honestly, because you're never sure what's going to happen next.
Radiant's bottom tower is under
It's really up
attack.
to the huge jumps from Rebel. I'm really watching like the Storm Spirits got able to get the Oracle every time, especially in the next fight, because he did use his buyback with Poshka in the last one, so if he does get picked off in the next fight, he won't have it for a very long time. So it's going to be a pretty big window for Winstrike to get
Radiant's
access to
bottom
the
tower
backlines.
is under attack.
Both of these teams just going to end up trading the tier
Dire's
2s,
top tower is under
not looking to go in for any other battles.
Radiant's
And Dracho's going to keep
bottom
going
tower is
forward.
falling.
Top lane, though, it's taking a lot longer for them to take down this tower.
Yeah, Duracho's got BKB, so now he's feeling probably pretty invulnerable inside of those fights, and he needed it. Like in that last fight, he just got completely
Radiant's
full focused.
bottom
His team
tower
did most
is
of the
under
cleanup.
attack.
Now he'll be able to actually contribute something with his team. So could see a very different fight coming out from Winstrike this next one, where they might just crush the fight.
Dire's
Yeah,
top
like you said,
tower
it's
is
difficult
under
when he doesn't have
attack.
the blink. It's just kind of
Radiant's
soaking up
bottom
most of the
tower
damage,
is
but with the
under attack.
BKB now he can walk in and he'll be able to actually do things instead of, nice find here. Heals, follow up. There's just too many heroes here for Collapse to survive.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
And nice find here for Dracha.
Maybe he was right about the BKB on the top. It might be something he actually does need. Just Timbersaw and AA, they melt him. They make him look not like a Tidehunter at all.
Well, I mean, to be fair, he was very isolated up there alone as well, so I can definitely see the necessity of a BKB, considering what they've got throwing out at him, but at the same time, a little bit of positioning there too.
Yeah. In the last fight though too, it's like if he gets hit with the ice blast too, they throw out everything though. Timber came. I mean, not the biggest priority for his team. Once he soak all those spells and just get a good ravage off, so maybe it doesn't matter.
Team Spirit though still hanging on to that mid tower. It's about 27 minutes in. They just haven't been able to quite crack it over on the side of Winstrike.
Invisibility.
It's a very important tower for all of those Roches.
Most definitely is, and the next rush is probably going to be the big decider from both sides where that big fight does kick off.
You can see already just the way that they're positioning themselves around. They're trying to get some vision, trying to take down any sort of enemy vision as well. And I
Radiant's
think a
middle
blink dagger
tower
just
is
got
under
picked up
attack.
there.
Who ended up grabbing that one? Is it Duracho? Yeah, he does, okay. So Duraccio Blink, they have Halberd on Cheshire Cat too, like his itemization so far in Cheshire Cat this game. The pipe Yules into Halberd versus that gyrocopter going to be very effective. Very tanky.
Step forward from Toronto Tokyo. Trying to get a little bit of a drag back here. Zipping over from Cheshire Cat. Timber chains in. Just pokes though. Just little pokes here and there.
Mirov really wants to steal Chakram again. Just looking out for that spell. It's the best steal he... Okay, it's the second best steal he can get in the game, but he shouldn't get the best one, which is Ice Blast.
Right.
Phantom should never give that up.
It's like when you see a Rubik grab the Phoenix Egg too. You're just like, should never happen.
Yeah, definitely.
Winstrike, meanwhile, taking up residency in the bottom area of the Radiant Jungle. And they are smoked up. Doing a little bit of a hunt. They've left Cheshire Cat over in the mid lane.
Stolen.
Get the spot off here. Director opening up with the blink forward, but Toronto Tokyo zipping on through. Collapse not able to go on, use that Ravage right away. He's waiting patiently though. Fairly tanky. Rest of the side of Winstrike is backing off. They're looking to re-engage again. They'll heal up the Tidehunter. They're just so reluctant right now.
Yeah, they're both just like waiting for one of the others to overstep their hand, and then they would both jump the back line. Like Tokyo tried to force it onto the AA, but he couldn't actually. Storm just waiting for a moment to jump either Rubik or Oracle. As we said, Rubik, Mira, he did get the Chakram steal. So it is, he said, like the best spell he should be stealing in the game. And he's got all that crazy cast range, so it is a threat that Winstrike does have to respect.
Yeah, some of those neutral items dropping as well. Seeing different items picked up. Got the Cloak of Flames right now over on Gyrocopter.
Gyro might hit a little bit of a faster timing than the Wraith in the next few moments. He's able to finish the butterfly. That could be huge for them versus this Wraith King. He does have to still watch out about all that big burst, and it's starting to be kind of Gyrocopter versus World, perhaps.
Yatoro, the initiation coming out from Miata, but he's got the BKB and he's got the Oracle there to keep him alive. Immediately following up. Get the steal over here from the Root Crest of Fire Blast, but got the BKB on Rebel. Drops Tokyo, still alive. Spider Legs just helping Collapse run away, and they just don't got a hard commit. They did manage to take down Mapochka, but they're diving underneath these towers. You have to be a little bit careful here, as you can find there it is. There's the Ravage. Will go down. They've overextended over on the side of Winstrike as Rebel is next to fall. They've left Cheshire Cat behind, and he's very, very tanky, but they've got plenty of solutions here. They'll taunt him, they'll get the kill on Cheshire Cat, and now the rest of the side of Winstrike. I don't think they were expecting that.
No, they got to kill him at Poshka too, right? Where he doesn't have buyback available still for about, I think it was like a minute when he did die. He didn't have that buyback available, but they don't push forward too far. They keep going just further and further and further, and then the Ravage comes out and connects on everyone. That was just a bit too far of a dive trying to get this kill on the air. That's really going to hurt, because now we were saying, that next big fight is the biggest thing. It's going to turn the whole game, and they're going to get it for free now from the other side because of this.
Definitely working away over at there too. And also just keep in mind the fact that Mapochka we talked about the way that he gets these spells off. He still manages to get off the major spells before he dies.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Blink dagger now too, so he's got that position. I'm just watching him shovel. In case you haven't looked at Mapochka's inventory, it looks pretty lovely right now on that Oracle. He's got 5 salves, quad mangoes, stuff. So
hey,
shovel definitely being
salves are amazing on an Oracle player.
They are.
Just throwing that out there,
Yeah, shovel on Oracle and IO is amazing. You're always going to be able to pump up and feed your cores very nicely. And the other thing to point out too in the fight is Hero actually got the gem.
To restore the void within.
So now they have a big advantage on vision too, which has been pretty important, it feels like, especially for Winstrike to get that big jump.
Yeah, you've got a Storm Spirit, and while he does have that zip, you never want to zip blindly in, especially when you consider what they have coming out from the side of Team Spirit here. So definitely a great steal, and the Ag Shard, of course, was picked up over on the Void Spirit. So
I like it.
Feels
more damage.
Yeah, I mean, that's always a plus here, especially when you're trying to play very, very fast.
You can just reset further, like your reach and your ways of being able to get out of fights also becomes quite large with that shard picked up too. As now with that fight, with an Aegis, with this cheese and shard, they also now have Ravage back up too. So Winstrike, that last move has really hurt them in the overall control of the game.
It's just something so simple that they just committed too hard, diving past the tier 2 with still a tier 1 up as well.
Yeah, I can't believe that tier 1's still up. I think it had
Radiant's
to have been
top
just
tower
this
is
bloodlust
under
of just
attack.
like Mipotion's dead, no buyback,
Radiant's
not
top
right?
tower
They're just
is fallen.
chasing for these kills, but yeah, just a step too far, especially versus Ravage when BKBs are.
4K net worth lead now, going over to the side of Team Spirit at 33 minutes in now. And they feel like they've kind of hit their stride. And again, not knocking Winstrike because they've been playing very well, but just a little bit of that overextension. Got them on the back foot and it's allowed the Roche to get taken.
A couple mistakes can hurt so much when you are playing into a patch that I feel like is so important around that launch. It feels like maybe even more than ever. But just being careful on those timings.
They want Yamich. Step forward, they find him. The Ice Blast is just a little bit off the mark. And they'll blow him up. Oh, they used the Ravage! And they didn't grab him! That's huge. Oh, you've got to be so happy here.
What a crazy play from Winstrike. The scan was caught out and Tokyo thought that they were alone, but he actually just jumps into an AA blast and everything. That was a very precise hit.
Look at that. A little bit off, like by a millisecond or two.
And now no Ravage. So now perhaps Winstrike can end the fight. A little bit of sloppiness coming up from Spirit after a nice bit of a momentum game.
Got the BKB, so he should be able to just run away. They have no ways of being able to stop him while that's up and running. Although they do have the missile now that the BKB is over. They're still running after them though. They want this kill. They get the lift off. They should have. No, they've got one more hit. Kenya Thoro gets the hit off. Oh, he's trying. Rebel will fall. Maposhka does get taken down by Duracho on the back line. The BKBs have one outbound though, so Mira will be the next phone call. They're coming out. Trying to man fight here with Duracho, but they've got the chakra. It's just slowing them down. And it's just so much damage. So again, that Aegis is going to get used. As now Collapse waiting patiently. They know that he doesn't have the Ravage though. The toss up into the air. The step forward coming up. Charge it up. Does get a lot of silence going, but not enough to save anyone. As now he has to be careful that he doesn't fall as well. But thanks to that shard, the outer ring, he will hightail it out.
All this is a result, though, of that Ravage being used on the left side and Tokyo getting picked off, too. They overplay their hand a little bit on Spirit, chasing the Storm, who overplayed his hand because he runs out of mana, and we have some crazy situations happening back and forth. Love these type of games. Stakes make games way more exciting.
You can tell they really want this, though. Both of them are feeling that pressure. They would like to get this victory here.
One of the closest games I think I've gotten so far. It feels it still feels like pretty much dead even though there's like an Aegis. There was an Aegis on the gyro, and we did have that little bit of throw back and forth. It does feel quite even as Duracho's got the blink, he's got the MKB to counteract that butterfly that we saw coming into play.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I definitely thought, I was like, okay, yeah, they're going to put up a good fight on the side of Winstrike, but Team Spirit has just been looking so flawless. It's a kind of a big, pleasant surprise. It's Collapse, very tanky, he's going to be very forward here, does have that Ags. He's going to draw a little bit of the attention, has the Ravage up in about a second as everybody is grouped around. Is he going to go for it, though? He doesn't have the rest of the team here. They'll use the save here, coming out from the Oracle, but... Nope. That looked like the...
Radiant's middle tower has fallen.
That was the false promise, right?
Did he just die? Wait, what the hell just happened?
Yeah, that was false promise.
Is something dealing damage through it? Was the flamethrower killing him through it? Did I see something wrong?
I don't know. We're going to have, I believe Purge is weathermanning this one. Perhaps that's something for him to look back at. But yeah, so he's got the flamethrower. There's the false promise. Gosh, he pops.
Oh, he moved his wand? Wait, what? He moved his... What's killed him?
I think it just...
I'm so... I have no idea what happened. I don't know how he dies there. He's affected by false promise, isn't he?
It looks like the false promise ends, though.
Oh, it does end. Oh,
yeah.
I'm fine. I'm so sorry. Okay.
There's so many particles nowadays. It's actually so hard to tell on it. Like,
does it?
That's what it looked like. It looked like it just
Dire's
popped at the very end here, right?
It's at 3/4 duration. It's not even halfway through duration. He just dies. I'm so confused.
I know, let's go back. It might feature or bug, depends on which side of the game you're on, but it looks like they might be able to get a kill on Cheshire Cat.
Stay out of my skies!
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Was it?
Yeah.
Because he purged off the Whirling Death, right? I think it's the Whirling Death that causes some weird stuff with his stat loss, and his stat loss ended. But why would he? I'm still
I don't know.
confused what just happened. Actually.
I don't know.
Like I'm trying to wrap my head around the mechanic. but
Yeah, Purge. Weatherman.
Something with Whirling Death. I have no idea what else it could have been.
It's always fun when you get to see these strange interactions come. And usually, you know, in the past, it was when Lota was playing, right? Lota seemed to find every single bug in the game. Poor guy.
Yeah, that's the only thing that I
Something with Whirling Death.
Still really weird about how he does die, though, because he still shouldn't.
Because I thought I saw the false promise end, but like you said, it shouldn't have ended at that time.
Dire's middle tower
Still had the
is under
duration.
attack.
Yeah, because even if he's below percentage for Shatter, he's affected by false promise.
Right.
And that was one of the weirder interactions I think I've ever seen. As we still see, I mean, they're still all
Dire
grouped together. They
are
still have
scanning.
Ravage and everything. Fights are still going to be very close between who gets the jumps and Roshan about 40 seconds. Finding out about Roshan about 40 seconds. So getting these wards around the area are going to be most crucial.
That was a bit odd, though. Like, I feel like, and again, the part of that could be just because we had a strange interaction. Like, the way that Collapse just, like, goes running out of the base, right? He's got the Gush, just keeps trying to, you know, reduce the armor, but the rest of the team not in position. So, you know, he jumps into 4 or 5 different heroes right there and doesn't manage to get the Ravage off, obviously, because I think he had a little bit more time. Perhaps. Still not entirely sure there.
I'm going to have to watch it like 20 times.
Yeah. I'm actually very, very interested.
I'll check the chat in a couple minutes because it was a fight of those.
Yeah, right.
Ago too. Maybe someone's a genius. You see something that I don't know. That was really weird.
Yeah. All right, smoke play coming out from the side of Team Spirit. Like they said, on the bright side, they still do have the Ravage.
Radiant
Got the Blink Dagger
are
online
scanning.
now for the Oracle. They've got a courier over here. Smoke will pop over to Racho. It's just a little bit too fast, though. They're not going to be able to go and cut him down. They do manage to find Mapochka's courier at the very least. Little bonk there coming out from the missile. From the Tokyo with the taunt right back in. The rest of the team, though, again,
Radiant's
smoked
middle
up behind
tower
them.
is under attack.
We've got smoke still on the side of Team Spirit. It's just feeling a little spooky right now, I feel, for both sides. They're not fully ready to commit. It's been a very reluctant game. It's been neck and neck as well.
It's gonna come down to a crazy fight at the end of it all. As Gyro, not quite 25, he does have Trickster Cloak. He's got all these great ways to protect himself. He still has the growth to be able to go with an Aghanim's if he's able to pick down up the Flash in particular. Wraith King has it 25 now, and Wraith King's starting to get to the point of maximizing, where I believe the Swift Blink is done now too. He's got a Penta edged as well, so he's kind of reaching his peak pretty soon.
It's just all about who gets the jump on who, it seems, in all of these fights. Yeah, there's a Swift Blink delivered. Racho's going to be looking for whoever he can get his hands on.
Ooh, Totoro pets himself a Spell Prism. Nice pickup. Oh, sorry, Toronto Tokyo finds himself a Spell pickup, Spell Prism, so that'll be really nice for the upcoming fights.
Collapse does have an Invis rune. He's going to try to do a little bit of scouting here. Don't have any sentries. They do see the storm. Perhaps they can get the jump on him. Toronto Tokyo looking in position to lift up from Mira immediately. They would like to just blow up Rebel as fast as they can. He's got the BKB. He's going to be able to just zip around and just get out of this fight here. Dr. Cass soaking up a lot of this damage. Toronto Tokyo turned his attention now, but they've got the Swift Blink over onto the back line. Zeracha, he's got his eyes over here onto the Rubik. He doesn't want them to steal the zip forward. They're coming up for Rebel. They get Mira. They're looking for Mapochka now as well. Mapochka trying to buy himself a little bit more time to toss up into the end. The Ravage comes out though from Collapse. Connecting over on 3. They have the call now. They've got plenty of damage. Mapochka's going to have to go use his ultimate on himself, but they will end up zipping through. Damage will fall. They'll find the kill on Rebel. The buybacks are coming out now. They're not happy about this. Mapochka, he bought himself some time, but does eventually pop. And now Toronto Tokyo, he needs help. He needs to get out of there as fast as he can. And thank God he has the shard because he should be able to break some ankles and teleport away just in the nick of time.
Chaotic fights. Rebel does buy back, though. That's what causes all of Spirit to back away. They get on the supports. They get on both of the Oracle and the Rubik. Winstrike able to just pierce right through. They're starting to get tanky. They're not afraid of this Gyrocopter's damage. They're not really afraid of the Ravage either. Now they're going to get themselves this Roach, which has a blessing on it.
I mean, that Ravage looked so nice there, but again, they're running out of damage, and they're running out of HP so that they can continue to do damage.
Roshan has fallen to the dark.
Immortality
The axe
is
picked up now
mine.
for the Wraith King. This is the... Okay, what have we found out here? Go back and we look at this.
Watching it again?
Yeah, we're watching it again. I'm not sure. Did they
Radiant's
discover
middle
something?
tower is under
Still
attack.
false progress.
Radiant structures are
No matter
fortified.
what happens, he can't die. Like even if his stat reduction is changed, like he shouldn't die. I don't know. Very weird.
Well, we'll find out later. I'm sure there'll be someone in Twitch chat who will let us know
Radiant's
that
middle tower
we have
is
no idea what
falling.
we're talking about. But they easily take the tower now over on the side of Winstrike. Aeon disc picked up now for Toronto Tokyo. The burst damage has just been very, very strong coming out from these guys, so.
I'm still trying to. I'm sorry if I'm a little distracted. I'm like looking up stuff. I have like a couple players messaging me.
Hey, I want to know. I'm fine with it.
Me too. I'm still trying. I'm sure
you know?
some people are calling us idiots and idiot casters. 2K MMR, AA blast. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Winstrike though, they're really finding their footing. Like this Wraith King is just way too big for them to deal with, and they're just too tanky. Is really what I'm seeing. Like this gyrocopter's damage is just not there. Even if he has Daedalus now too, I feel like he's gonna have to get to rapier territory.
I was about to ask.
To be able to deal with this Wraith King.
Are we hitting that time? Are we hitting where we need to be seeing the rapier? He's got a Scotty queued up currently, but the rapier might be necessary. I'm just worried that he's not going to be able to survive it. That is my one concern with Yatoro. There are, you've got Collapse very tanky, and they are just finding Maposhka on the back lines now. And he's been positioning himself very well, but it's immediately just running away here. Over on Doracho, realizing, okay, this can't. He's still there though. They might be able to find something here. The rest of the team, though, Toronto Tokyo jumping on the back lines, does find the AA. Stern trying to burst him down here. Yes, they'll find the gun on the bench. Right back though over onto this Oracle, and this is looking like that's a rather dead Mira. To zip in as well. Toronto Tokyo somehow still alive, but they've got a lot of things just running at them. And they do pop that Aeon disc. It's able to go and pop the BKB too. He's got to run though quickly. Does have that astral step, so he's going to be able to zip forward. And then he's just so slippery. It's too difficult for them to kill Toronto Tokyo this time around.
Them running from the fights though, they just can't take the fight versus all these tanky cores. They get the kill on the AA though, they force the buyback, so maybe the next one, if they can catch AA at the start of it, they have a chance, but they're too tanky. They really are just way too tanky for the most part for Team Spirit to deal with. This Void Spirit just doesn't really do that much damage. He does great control and all that, but versus all of these, they have too much damage.
Asked if Winstrike, they smoke up. Team Spirit playing tightly together. Just need a really good pickoff here on Winstrike, and the door's just open. I see Collapse. He's got those spider legs though. And the rest of Spirit. Oh, I don't know about this. This is a little scary here because Spirit gets 3 minutes to the ball with the Ravage, but the BKBs are coming out of that. As Yatoro also popping his own BKB. They try to jump up the backline triple. He's taking 2, but since Yato already falls, he'll get that kill. Now Cheshire Cat somehow still alive. And again, this is the problem. We don't have enough damage coming out here from the side of Team Spirit as they're just able to walk away. Yatoro needs to be so careful now too. Well, they do get the stun, they get the taunt out. That's going to be the reincarnation coming up now. Coming right back up again. Yatoro has to be careful. Look at that Timber Shady just goes sliding right off that. And the 3-hit vortex dragging them back as well. They're just trying to dodge in and out this entire time. Cheshire Cat, he's so gosh darn tanky. Eventually though does end up falling. Doracho also will now fall. As the Rebel just zipping out. Pentiment left behind. They get the Raid Fire Steel. And they turn it right around here.
Tokyo may be the sacrifice, but a sacrifice for a damn good reason. As the rest of the heroes are just able to cast everything. He gets a 3-man dissimulate to start it off. Ravage connects on 3 or 4.
Dire's middle tower
I watch
is under
Maposhka in the
attack.
fight. He sits behind everything and just free casts onto his gyrocopter, full healing him during the entirety of it.
Dire's
Yatoro
middle
just dances
tower
around.
has fallen.
He's able to actually hold it. Buybacks on 3
Dire's
heroes.
middle
It's just going to be
tower is
Storm and
under
Racing
attack.
able to it's really difficult for them.
I feel like they do have to be a little bit careful because the Wraith King is very, very scary. But again, like you said, the button pushing coming out from Maposhka here has just been so on point. And you've got a big tanky Collapse here right in front. So
Dire's
gonna throw
middle
the Raid Fire
barracks
Blast,
are under
immediately
attack.
the little missile, follow him right back
Dire's
again. They'll use the
structures are
fortification.
fortified.
Gotta buy some more time.
They can get this, Rax. There's these 2 can't contest versus this just now. It's going to be too difficult. Until
Dire's
Tiny's back
middle
up, I think even if
barracks
Tiny's up, it's going to be too hard.
Dire's middle barracks.
Another gush over on Toracho. But looks like they'll respect. We'll back off.
I think I might have an answer, by the way.
Oh, what is it?
Some random person messaged me, so who knows if this is true or not.
Okay.
But they said, when you receive 10 buffs, and if your first buff actually gets removed after the 11th buff goes off. So
Really?
even though he had false promise at 3/4 duration, he had too many buffs and it gets pushed off. I don't know how true that is. I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
But the person who messaged me said they're 99% sure.
That doesn't seem right.
That doesn't seem right because I only saw 2 buffs and like 8 debuffs. But I don't know. I'm still looking for explanations.
I mean, that's the first.
Have completely come back in this game.
Yeah. That's, oh man, look at that. Look at the swing on the
Dire
graphs.
are scanning.
They are hanging in there for sure.
Over here now.
These fights are just so chaotic. What's our gyro got now too? Did he purchase anything big? He's still hanging on to some gold. Now looks like he's gonna sell his treads, pick up the Scotty, and does he have buyback with it? It's gonna be close. Looks like he's just shy of it still.
Where's my pension? We'll need as 3 keys.
He had 10 debuffs and 2 buffs.
Stupendous.
Is what we're getting from production here. So
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know, but that's the first plausible one that I've heard. You know, one that kind of makes a little bit of sense, I guess.
Maybe, yeah, maybe.
All right, they're hunting. Collapse. Spider leg smoked up. Hoping to grab
Big
someone here.
25s. This is 25 now. We did see the storm in 25 in the later instances there. Did take the bounces. Tidehunter's almost 25, so cooldown reduction will be
Dire's top tower is under attack.
It's almost on the high ground though. Scotty is finished.
Got the Satanic as well. KB will allow him to go and continue to lifesteal up, but they do force everyone home here in the process. I love this pickup. I was gonna ask if Maposhka had an integer, because I keep seeing him smoked up in the back lines, and I figure that's the only way that's possible. It's just so good for him to be able to sit back and push those buttons.
Yeah, that's really what we saw just come into play in that last fight. Just him getting that perfect positioning because of it, and they're gonna smoke for that fight here.
Have the Ag Scepter completed now for the Storm.
That's a big one too, because he did have Timeless Relic, and I did see he didn't have the Ags beforehand, so there'll be some big pulls that he can get off.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Toronto Tokyo is showing in the top lane. Try to make a play on him. He is separated from the group here. He has the Yules. They stun him. Can they hold him in place? Does have the Aeon Disc too, but now that's popped.
Safe. That's why he's playing so risky up there. He knows he's not going to die. They don't have a Hex or anything to chain follow it up, so he should be okay when he plays like that.
That felt extra risky, though. Like, he jumped right in front of the Storm Spirit with his face. Like, oh.
I think Toronto Tokyo's nickname should probably have a little risky in there, too. That's not how he plays most of the time.
Toronto, Risky, Tokyo.
Yeah.
Or Danger. Danger sounds good, too. Yeah. Something with the T, though. I feel like you got to keep up that alliteration, right?
Yeah, actually, that's true.
Yeah.
He does like his alliteration.
I'm sure someone will come up with something good.
I'm like thinking timid, and I'm like, wait, that's the
No. That's definitely not Toronto Tokyo at all. Toronto Terrorizer?
Terrorizer? Okay. Dirachido's running out of space. Okay, he actually, oh my goodness, he can full out commit for the Abyssal Blade.
They need the lockdown. They are just running circles around them now.
Yeah, he doesn't have buyback anyway, since he did use it in the last one, so does just want to use out his gold for the next fight, just in case.
This is a good pickup too from Maposhka. It's up the Yandis. It's just so important that he stays alive. He catches out these spells. Yandis, of course, talking over on Jeff's attack. Don't hold here with the nice ice blast. Can they save him? Yes, again, he hits the buttons. He's going to be able to go and just hit all the things that are necessary. Followed up with a beautiful Ravage completing over onto 3 as they're just trying to get enough damage over here onto Rebel. They get the Storm Spirit out in time. This is not looking good as Tiny has already fallen. Yes, they just hold him into place. And yes, all right. It's going to be the first step down. Back up again, and they are just gonna try to run for the hills here. Buyback over on Rebel. They find that ancient apparition. Lots of buybacks now.
As they also will finish off Phantom and Beck. I mean, they took the fight because they have the save. And does survive their moment with a nice ball promise from Maposhka. They know that he doesn't have buyback, so they take the fight. They don't have buyback, so they take this one. They win the fight. Now Roche back up with a refresher and an Ag's Blessing. Perhaps definitely looking for that lesson pretty soon. Just so chaotic still, because of course when he gets the save, that's the biggest one to look out for.
Gyrocopter gets himself a nice Ag's Blessing now.
That's the dream. You build all the items up for pretty much being handed that blessing, right? He's got his Satanic, his Scotty, all this that works out so well with that little side gunner. It's gonna be pretty huge for him.
Spending money is for losers when you can just get it for free, right?
Yeah, his item progression just looks
Oh boy, they rock right into the Raja. Look at that damage coming out. He just immediately pumps. Good God, as they follow up the call down coming in. They get the silence off over on the backlines of Timbersaw, and they're trying to jump over onto Maposhka. They want to get rid of him. He is going to fall, but he's going to buy back. Yamich now, he's got the Spider-Leg trying to run away, trying to buy himself a little bit more time, but they have the magic damages. They'll kill Yamich. Down for 107 seconds.
next fight without the Tiny into double Ravage.
And
Ravage back up in 10, and they have the Shard. Boy.
They don't have reincarnation.
They don't. It's back up soon, though. 10 seconds. He's lucky to get out, though, honestly. I actually thought that was the game right there, because Dirachi popped EKB before he died the first time, but he was able to blink out. It looked like it was almost going to be the game right there. Speed Spirit.
The left. Jump forward from Dirachi. They have the Aeon Disc, and they follow up the Zipster coming out from the storm, but there's just too much damage. All right, that's going to be the reincarnation. Right up again. Collapse getting his position. He has a nice Ravage over onto the silence, but then another one popped down as they just rid him into place. Down they go. Rebel is trying everything he can, but Mira is going to be protected by Maposhka, is hitting those buttons. Oh my word. Buybacks coming out again. We've got the Timber and the Ancient Apparition. They don't want to fall here, but they don't have the damage, I don't think, Fogged. Chakra.
Such a long time.
Step forward, the lift off over on this Ancient Apparition. He just popped back. He can't afford to go down again, and he will. It's just the Storm Spirit and Timbersaw against the world. There's a nice vortex going in, but where's Shimura? Damage to BKB's come out. They turn right back around to get Cheshire Cat. He's trying everything, but he's not going to be able to escape. They'll just go right back over, start hitting the buildings, hitting the Ancient. This is looking like the victory here in Team Spirit, because there's nothing that, unfortunately, this Storm can hope to do other than play a little cheekily.
What a game, though.
Radiant victory.
Just the last few moments in Spirit, just they're feeling their power. And charging into that fight, into the enemy jungle there, that was them just knowing, like, no buyback on Wraith King. We have the number advantage if we just are able to actually take the fight, and they do. Then they get the Aegis, they get that refresher. Tide gets a beautiful Ravage on pretty much everyone, as they do end up finally taking the game versus Winstrike with some really clutch and fun plays and some crazy interactions that I guess we still don't know what the answer is, but perhaps somebody did find it in the
I'm hoping perhaps, our weatherman will take a look at it and maybe be able to fill us in. But yeah, that was one of the most entertaining matches I think that I've had the chance to really cast recently, because it was so close. Winstrike, they're coming up from the lower division. They're facing off a Team Spirit who've been looking absolutely dominant, and they still managed to make it look like a nail-biter the entire time. I had a great time casting this. Definitely, it's a little sad for Winstrike here, because, there it does have to be a loser, but Team Spirit, showing up, looking just so good, and excited to see what Winstrike can do in the future. But yeah, that is it. Of course, it was a full 3-game series, and Team Spirit is going to be able to take the series 2-1.
Yes, they do. Despite dropping the initial game, they do manage to bring it back. 2-1 for Spirit. That freight train of theirs just keeps on rolling through, and if anything, going to be picking up more and more speed as they run through this. We'll talk about that more and hopefully have a post-game interview after the break.